Oh, hi. Happy Wednesday. I'm sorry. I just got distracted by the people whose heads I'm living in rent free. It's amazing how you can be the kingpin behind everything, even when you show up after everything's over and go, wow, that sucks. It's anyway, that's not what tonight's show about. Welcome to the Hang Up here on the line. I'm Matt Dillahunty. This is my Wednesday night show, and some of you may know me as the guy that occasionally hosts religious talk shows on Sundays and other times. And we will do that. If you have good reason to believe in a God and something supernatural in pretty much anything that we're in disagreement on, and who knows, we may not all be in agreement here. It's your chance to call in and defend that. But this is also where I talk a little bit about politics and stuff, because I find myself living in the weirdest world imaginable, where people aren't accountable, where lies go unanswered. Like right now, the House of Representatives is getting ready to take the supposedly final vote to reopen the government after the longest government shutdown in the history of the United States. Matter of fact, this is the longest one since the last one that Trump had, which was the longest one in the history of the United States. So he has the two longest shutdowns are at his in his administration. And as they get up to talk about this, there are members of the House of Representatives who are actively standing up and continuing the same exact tired, obvious lie, because they're convinced that if you repeat the lie often enough, their constituents will believe it. And you know what? They're right. Their constituents believe that the Democrats have kept the government shut for 40 some odd days, specifically so that the Democrats can give health care to what they are calling illegal immigrants. And none of that is remotely true. None of them are eligible. They would be required to pay taxes here, but they are not eligible for that. Nobody's trying to get them eligible for that. I'm not even going to go through it. It's a shocking lie. That's not what I was talking about today. I have a story to tell you, because today the Speaker of the House swore in Representative Adelita Grijalva. And Adelita is the 218th vote needed to force a vote to release the Epstein files. And so along with her, there are 4 Republicans that have signed the petition to get this vote to happen. And that is Thomas Massie from Kentucky, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, Nancy Mace from South Carolina, and Lauren Boebert from Colorado. Now, I didn't know much about Thomas Massie prior to this. I didn't care that much about Kentucky, and he wasn't making news. But the other 3 are dangerous idiots of epic proportions. And we shouldn't forget that, despite the fact that now, after hearing victims, they have agreed that on this issue, they're going to stand up for the victims. And so despite being awful and ridiculous and cartoonish and hand jobby and Jewish space lasery and dog shooty. Oh, sorry, that's not Nancy. Anyway, they're going to do the right thing. So cool. Congratulations. What I want to know is not why I have to celebrate this particular group of buffoons from the deplorables, but why the rest of them are remaining in the basket of deplorables. In anticipation of the inevitability or seeming inevitability of the release of these documents, the Republicans have started going after Nancy Mace. Oh yes, she who uses the T slur as often as she can. And they're claiming that she's just a little crazy, she's unhinged, she's unstable, she's offensive. She should fit right in with you fuckers then. But it's been speculation that this is their attempt to get rid of her, since she would be the 218th vote. And if they could get rid of her as some wackaloon that we shouldn't get, maybe they get somebody else in there, or maybe they stall this vote even further. But it's starting to feel like they're recognizing that this is all inevitable. And people are starting to release more and more information. And so I put together 2 new bits of information that came out today. a little bit of a timeline, and then I'm going to rip into Chuck Schumer. Guaranteed. In 2005, in Palm Beach, Florida, parents of a 14-year-old girl reported that Jeffrey Epstein had sexually abused her. A federal investigation uncovered 36 girls, some of them as young as 14, that he had allegedly abused. That was 2005. What was I doing in 2005? Oh, I was just starting to do shows like this on public access. So 20 years ago, 2005. Yep. In 2008, he pleaded guilty and was convicted of procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. That's it. 30. Now, granted, that should be a lot. That should be enough. That should be the end of public life and career for anybody. So procuring a child for prostitution, there are places where that'd just get you dead. But it should be like the end. But what's wild is, even though they found 36 girls that he supposedly abused, he was only convicted of 2 crimes: soliciting a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. And that was the deal made by Alex Acosta with the Department of Justice. Jeffrey Epstein, for this amazing deal, after pleading guilty, served 13 months of work release. 13 months work release. It wasn't even really prison. But that's okay. Things go really well for people in Trump's circle, and they were really good friends. They were best friends for a while. And so Epstein gets this insanely good deal in 2008, while Trump is in the middle of his run as the host of The Apprentice. This is still 8 years before he would become president. So he's not in a position to have any sort of power other than his money to potentially help. And Trump distances himself from Epstein. Here's new tidbit number 1. In 2011, that's 3 years after his conviction, there's an email that was released today from Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell, noting that that Trump, not President Trump, because he wasn't president then, but Trump had spent hours at Epstein's house with one of the victims. The name's been redacted. We think we may know who is being talked about here, and I think even one of Trump's, I think his minister of propaganda may have even given out a name for that one. Which, I mean, how is that not just an admission? Not just an admission, but admission that they knew about it and they knew this document was there and they know who's in it. This thing's from 2011. Trump likes to pretend this is all a Democratic hoax, and evidently the Democrats are in time travel technology. They've got something going on where they can go back to when he was hosting and say, you know what? Let's invent some stories about him that might come in useful at a later time. Because in December of 2015, Michael Wolff, the self-described journalist of, I don't know, dubious credentials and credibility, but he has a collection of supposedly 100 hours or so of interviews with Epstein and a number of emails. And he emailed Epstein on December 15th to say, quote, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in a scrum afterwards. So this was in the lead up to the 2016 election. And CNN is going to be interviewing Trump. And Michael Wolff hears that they're going to be asking him about Epstein. Epstein replies to that email 3 hours later and says, if we were able to craft an email or an answer for him, what do you think it should be? How strange that this convicted abuser and trafficker is sitting around with his biographer talking about a former friend who's going to be asked about him in his run for president. And that the response is, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And Wolf said, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, this is 2015, where these two are talking about the plane and the house. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say, Jeffrey's a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. This was strategy discussion for how to take advantage of the fact that Trump knows stuff and was involved with stuff. You don't talk about how you've got the goods to hang someone if they say the wrong thing unless you've got the goods. In July of 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested again for sex trafficking minors. And he died a little over a month later in prison before he could be tried. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in 2021 of basically, I don't remember the precise charge, but she was the one that was acquiring girls for him to some extent. And also in 2019, evidently between the date of his arrest and when he died in prison, possibly before his arrest, there's another email from Michael Wolff where Epstein wrote to Michael Wolff in reply to Wolff asking about, what Trump knew. And Epstein wrote, quote, of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Note that lines up accurately with Trump's own statements that Jeffrey was a creep who was stealing his people and he asked him to stop and he wouldn't stop. Trump also claimed that he asked Jeffrey Epstein to resign from Mar-a-Lago, and Epstein pointed out he was never a member and never couldn't resign, never asked to resign, never did resign. But Trump said that Epstein was stealing his people. Now, Epstein's dead. The files are going to be coming out. There's all kinds of claims that these are a Democratic hoax or whatever else. And the Democrats have the best time machines because they went back and created a friendship and all of the details surrounding it, and then went back and created some fake emails long before Trump was ever even thinking about running for president, or at least where anybody would have thought it would have been a real thing. And then Ghislaine gets a sweetheart deal, not dramatically different from her boyfriend's, where she gets moved to a prison an hour and 20 minutes or so away from me. I'd love to sit down and interview Ghislaine, actually. But that's not really what we do here, and there's no reason for her to do it. But she's at a prison in Bryan, Texas. A cushy, easygoing prison where she's now allowed to have a puppy. She's in prison and has a puppy. There are kids in my neighborhood that aren't allowed to have puppies. Ghislaine Maxwell has a puppy, phone access, and she's currently working on writing up her request to have her sentence commuted. There's rumors swirling that Epstein got a sweetheart deal because he was an Israeli intelligence agent. We don't have any evidence for that yet. Who knows what we're going to get? Who knows what you can trust? Who knows how they're going to spin this? But right now, the House is getting ready to reopen, we think, and reopen the government. And we may actually see a vote to release the Epstein files. They'll delay it as long as they absolutely can. But if it doesn't happen, I can't even imagine what will happen. The time for any sort of cooperation or play nice is over. You MAGA voters did this. You MAGA voters advocated for dishonest, lying, incompetent, awful individuals. And you thought they were going to release the Epstein files to make the liberals all cry. How many times? Are you sure you want them to release the Epstein files? There's Democrats in there too. Yes, release them all. I don't care if my mom's in there. I don't care who's in there. Release them all. If I'm in there, release them. I know I'm probably not, because I'm at least 1 degree of separation removed from even knowing Jeffrey Epstein. Although, to be fair, it turns out that not only did Dawkins and Krauss and Dennett all take their flights, and Pinker all take their flights on the Lolita Express. We have no reason to think that there was anything illicit about that. David McAfee just wrote about it on his Substack the other day. And of course, I was touring with Sam Harris and Lawrence Krauss when some of the accusations about Krauss went down, and that kind of ended our association with him. I have no reason to think, or I have no information that any of the individuals I named did anything illegal with anyone. But this is how the billionaires buy their influence. Here's several prominent scientists and thinkers. Let me fund your next get-together. Let me shovel money your way. Let me get the prestige so that I can make the connections. And when I have all the connections I need, I can then figure out which ones to exploit and which ones not to exploit. That's how you put money to work. Was he an intelligence asset? I don't know. Was he brilliant? I don't know. Was he credentialed? Did he know? I don't know. I don't care. What I care is he's convicted of involving children in prostitution. He was about to be tried for trafficking. His partner, his accomplice, was convicted of that. And the president is not only involved, but there are people who are saying that they've seen pictures of the president with girls of questionable age, and that there's tons of information here that, of course, Trump knew. And we all know it. I'm just waiting to see how they're going to defend it. Because here's the weird thing. Chuck Schumer is the minority leader of the Senate. Chuck Schumer is a career politician. From 1975 to 1980, he was a New York assemblyman. From 80 to 99, he was in the House of Representatives. And from 99 till now, he's been a senator, and he's the minority leader in the House. And he needs to resign in disgrace. Everyone should be calling his office, because either he's a complete fucking liar when he says that he did not encourage or sanction those 8 Democrats to become traitors, and he voted no. Either he's a liar and he arranged it, which is exactly what I think is the case, or he's completely fucking incompetent and has lost control of his organization within the Senate. When you have 8 Democratic senators, none of whom are up for re-election. Some of them are retiring. Some of them won't be up for re-election until 2028. And they're hoping that the people's memories are too short. How convenient that we get exactly the people who aren't going to have to bear any consequences to turn traitor, to cave after all this time with the hint of a promise that they might get a vote that won't fucking matter and that they won't fucking win. Those people They caved with the most power they ever had in this process. And it wasn't their power, it was ours. And all 8 of them need to be impeached. They need to be, whatever paperwork needs to be filed to get them removed from office early, get them replaced, for breaking ranks and caving to the Republicans, or for following a stupid and foolish leader who thought he could lie about this and pretend that, oh, I didn't know they were going to do that. It's just really convenient that the ones who aren't going to face consequences are the ones that did it. This is old school politics. And Schumer is an old school politician. This is predictable. Schumer needs to wake up. Actually, it's too late. You're too fucking old. You're too out of the pocket. You don't know how transparent your maneuvers are, which is why you couldn't accomplish anything. And why you and the cronies like you trained Hakeem Jeffries to be just like you. Completely ineffective. Completely useless. Let me brandish it around and get my PAC money and actually accomplish fuck all. And then after holding everything hostage, right when we were at the peak moment of power, right when we just had the fucking No Kings protest, when Mamdani just won, when the Democrats won in Virginia, when we started sweeping things, just when the power is coming back, just when all the polls show that people are starting to properly blame the Republicans for the shutdown, just when the polls are starting to show that they're almost done believing the lie that all you want to do is give health care to illegal immigrants, that's when you decide, it's not working. Fuck the rest of the party. Fuck everybody who's got to stay here. Fuck everybody who just went a month and some days without getting paid. Fuck everybody. We need to get back in the business of making sure the air traffic controllers get paid. No, you need to be in the business of saying, why the fuck is the president lambasting people for not doing their job when they're not getting paid in a government that he is responsible for? Why aren't you saying that? It wasn't the plan that wasn't working. It was you dipshits, all 8 of you. And Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer's either a liar or incompetent and must go. And I think that we've lost so much, it's time to fucking clean house. Grab every one of those representatives and senators by the short hairs who are just going along to get along. They're just drawing a paycheck, getting their health care, getting their PAC money, and not doing a fucking thing for anybody else, and throw them all out. Oh, no, that'll rock the boat too much. Wait a minute, Matt, I called for that 10 years ago. Yeah? We weren't at this point 10 years ago. Bring your queen out too early, you're going to lose. But it's time. It's time for us to jump on things. Chuck Schumer is now the least popular Democratic Senate leader in modern history. Chuck, you can't play chicken if you are the chicken. It is embarrassing that they sold out my health care, your family's health care. For what? They got nothing. Oh, but they promised they're going to have a vote. Yes. Good job, Charlie Brown, Chuck Brown. The Republicans are sitting there like Lucy with the football. And Chuck Schumer is halfway with his foot skyward saying, good grief. Welcome, my guest tonight, after that insanely long, rambly intro. You guys know him as Mr. Deity, Brian Dalton. How are you? Welcome.
Well, after that, I'm more sad than I was when when this show started.
Yeah.
I hand it to the Democrats because they are Olympians when it comes to defeat from the jaws of victory. That just seems to be what they do best.
And yeah, they're Olympians at limping.
Olympians at limping. Yes. Not good. I'm with you. I'm completely with you on everything you said. I don't have any, but just to be so frustrated and what else can be said? I mean, it's just
I don't know.
It's just horrific.
We have a government that seems to be mostly populated with people that I would consider to be traitors, and that's at both sides. They're traitors to the Constitution, to the ideals, to the rule of law, to the people who elected them.
Right.
It is incredibly frustrating. By the way, 720-619-2288 is the phone number to call in. If you'd like to call in and hey, where are we wrong? Where did the Democrats actually do the right thing? If you want to defend the Democrats, feel free. If you want to defend the Republicans, feel free. We can't just blame MAGA because MAGA Republicans, and I suppose if there's some non-MAGA Republicans, are just responsible for all this. The world's falling apart, but there's at least some good news here on the line. And we have our wonderful, talented producer to come in and tell us what's going on this weekend, Ms. Arden.
Yeah, so if you guys have been a part of any of our LionCon events where we do 3 speakers give about a 20-minute talk, usually host from the Lion, that goes to our patrons of $15 and up. So if you subscribe over on patreon.com/calltheline, you get access to these special events. And then months later, they'll be posted free here on the Line. You'll probably get some of those this weekend as well. But this weekend, this Saturday, is going to be Erica Gutsick-Gibbon, John Gleason, and Dr. Ben all giving their talks. So those are definitely 3 that you do not want to miss. We will get you those more details about those talks later on in the week. But yes, it'll be very exciting, very interesting for you. Go support us over on patreon.com/calltheline.
Yep. So I'm expecting just a flood of calls because during the election, we took a lot of calls from people saying Trump was the president of peace. And I haven't seen that yet, despite claims of solving multiple wars. We heard that he was perfect for the economy, and all signs show that the economy is, in fact, getting worse, that inflation is rising again, that jobs are down. Jobs are down in part because the government's been closed for 40 days. It's almost biblical, 40 days and 40 nights. And we used to have people calling in being like, oh, no, you guys are wrong about Trump. You're wrong about MAGA. And they're going to expose, they're going to expose the Epstein files. And now they've done everything in their power to keep the government shut so that the president doesn't bring further shame on the rest of the country by having all of his dirty laundry aired.
Real quick, before we get to the call, Brian, is there a bird in your house? Is there anything we can do about that?
There is a crow outside. These aren't.
Your audio is breaking up left and right, so we're hearing.
Yeah,
we actually hear the bird better than you sometimes.
He's very loud. He wants to participate, which I love, but
it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit better.
I think that's better.
Right in my backyard, and I had the back door open, so it's crazy.
It's all good. So we are going to get some calls here, but in the meantime, while we're queuing up calls, and by the way, I'm open. Like, you can call in and defend the Democrats. You can call in and defend the Republicans. You can skip the politics and defend Jesus or Yahweh, or Zoroaster, or the Chupacabra, or virtually anything you want. Lines are open. Have some fun, but you're in for a treat though, because Ron and I don't get to do a lot of shows together. We will on occasion, but so I saw you were traveling recently, but you have not yet made it to Austin, which I'm not berating you for because I haven't been out to visit you either. So what have you got going on?
Well, my daughter moved to Texas a few years ago. I have a 4-year-old grandson now and a 6-month-old grand, who, by the way, both of them are the cutest kids ever in the history of the universe. It's amazing. And they just make it unfair for every other kid. My daughter's terrific. She's terrific. So to see them, and I got to stop in and say hi to our buddy Aaron and hang out with him for an afternoon down there it's not, what was it, McKinney. We were in McKinney. We had a good time, and I was hoping to, I got to get down to Austin at some point, because I hope, and
Yeah.
I have to make it down. It tells me how great Austin is. I mean, it's the of tech.
For now.
I've been to Houston, and that's about it. That's all my Dallas travels, and I really liked Houston. I thought Houston was gorgeous.
Oh my God, Houston's awful.
Really? Well, this was 94. 96. I played at the Houston Jazz Festival. The last time I played live, it's been a really, really long time, and I had a good time. And I wish I was the brick, because we don't have brick here in LA. No one builds. And so when I went down there and saw the brick, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So I was really smitten with the city, and clearly it had a ton of money. I don't know where exactly I was in Houston, because I didn't know the area, but wherever the jazz festival was, just everywhere around there was and wealth, and it was pretty impressive. With it, other than the fact that it was 102 degrees and humidity, and I could barely play either of the instruments. It was ridiculous.
Your audio is breaking up a bit. So you couldn't play either of the instruments that what?
So I play guitar and keyboards, and I just had a hard time thing with sweat. I mean, I had never experienced anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
As they say here in LA, it's a dry heat, and it was quite wet.
What are we gonna do now? Once put her in charge. It's so Houston is miserable. It is humid, and traffic is bad. Dallas is miserable, because traffic is bad, and there's just too damn many people. San Antonio is awful because it's almost as humid as Houston, but it's kind of boring, but they do have great Riverwalk. Austin is terrible and getting worse, despite the fact that it is a liberal, hippie, godless, heathen, get naked and swim in town lake kind of town. It's becoming less of that every day. And I used to joke that we're surrounded by Texas, but we'll never surrender, and we only let the governor live here because that's where they built the house. But the reality is, even mayor of Austin, city council, with all the battles over everything, whether or not we're going to criminalize weed or whether or not we're going to allow homeless people to, continue to live, all of those things have really started to eat away at Austin's feel. With Musk down here with the Tesla factory, and then the F1 track that came and failed and is trying to redo stuff. I don't know. It's a weird place to live. And El Paso, despite being in this state, is like 8 hours away. So,
is it for real that they're seriously thinking of marijuana in Texas again?
Is it for real that they're getting rid of what?
Are they really going to allow marijuana in Texas?
Okay, I couldn't understand what you're saying because the audio broke up. But if you can hear me, what happened is the THC 0989 Delta, all the acetate, all the hemp-based stuff was legal. Now it's only legal in gummy form. You can't. They've outlawed the vapes. Marijuana has been medically legal in Texas for a while, but with like one dispensary or maybe two in the entire state, and nobody who's going to be, really giving out prescriptions or anything else. And so what happened is Austin City Council and I think maybe the mayor of Austin basically said, we are no longer going to criminalize possession unless it's with some other crime. And so you could walk down 6th Street smoking a joint, and basically the cops would be more like, yeah, let's just put that out, type of thing. And by and large, if you're just, out having weed with friends or nobody cared. Well, one person cared, and that's our absolute lunatic, Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
And the lieutenant governor, and is going, just doing everything he can to criminalize all of it. And so far, he even bumped heads with the governor on what he could and couldn't do. And they both hate the mayor of Austin and Austin City Council. And it's just like, they're going to take away everything here, and they're doing it, I think, to run the liberals up out of here. And it's working, because by going after the LGBTQ community, going after people, recreational and medicinal marijuana, or even the substitutes for that. It feels like that's what they're trying to do, because I've been here since 95 and I'm ready to leave.
Before we get to this caller, Brian, real quick, I want to try something, because I know you switched to the browser before you reloaded. Sometimes when you're on Chrome, even if you change the microphone, if the default microphone in Chrome isn't right, it'll just always force it back to what the default microphone in Chrome is. So maybe we could try checking that, because I'm wondering if maybe the microphone isn't right or something. Because I just went and checked, and the last time you were here, we didn't have these same audio issues. So just so that the clips are nice to listen to. Oh, now,
is it better?
Yep.
Ooh, that does sound a little bit better. Talk some more for me.
I didn't realize that it had somehow connected to my phone for the microphone, and now it's back to the AirPods.
Oh my God.
You sound amazing, my
I was
friend.
say, your voice is like creamy
Okay.
butter now. This is great. All right, proceed.
And we just lost our caller.
Thanks for having me. Oh no.
Oh God.
Oh no, they called back. Maybe we're having issues with it. Let's see if we can get this in here real quick. So Tim is a deist from New York. Pronouns are he, him. Hey Tim, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Tim.
Good evening. Hi. So I don't know if you saw my question, but my question is, why are you against Islamophobia when you are against Islam?
For the same reason I'm against cancer, but I'm in favor of cancer patients and don't like people bullying cancer patients. Islamophobia is an attack on people, and it's based on prejudices and assumptions of extending one representative or a subset of a group of people and extending it to all of them. If you think, or anybody thinks, that Mamdani and some of the other, kind of left-leaning, liberal, progressive Muslims are representative of like the Taliban or something, then you're nuts and a bigot. And so that's why I oppose it.
Yeah, but still,
I'm with you.
Your religion is not an inborn idea. That's something that you choose, and you would consider an irrational belief. So doesn't that make you afraid that someone would have an irrational belief?
Hang on. So first of all, I don't think you choose it. You don't choose your beliefs. But what difference does that make? You asked me why I was opposed to Islamophobia when I'm opposed to Islam. I'm opposed to Islam because of the ideas. I'm opposed to Islamophobia because of the ideas. The idea of Islamophobia is to shame or marginalize or make bigoted assumptions about Muslims based on other Muslims. That's not the same as saying, oh, you have a belief that's false or harmful or irrational.
But wouldn't you say, I mean, from your opinion, wouldn't you say anyone that follows a religion has an irrational belief? Would you say that?
I don't know. I suspect that everybody has irrational beliefs, and I suspect that most religions, I have no reason to think any of them are true, and if people think they're true, then yes, they have irrational beliefs. Why does the fact that someone have... So your question was about Islam versus Islamophobia. Why have you moved away from that to now start talking about I'm opposed to anyone having irrational beliefs. I'm not opposed to them having the freedom to hold those beliefs. And so I want to challenge the beliefs and not necessarily the person.
But without the people holding the beliefs, I mean, that's where the danger comes in. That's when someone can do something irrational.
Okay. So what is your proposal? Because you seem to think that I shouldn't be opposed to Islamophobia, which is a personal attack, but that I should be opposed to Islam. Why do you think that I should be against people?
Well, if you, I'm using the literal definition of fear of people who hold this belief.
No, it's not. So the suffix phobia isn't merely fear. It is a fear or an aversion to. And so when we're talking about Islamophobia, we're talking about a bigoted assessment of Group A based on proposed similarities to Group B because they share some component of their identity. That is bigoted. It is the same reason that you don't make assumptions about someone because of their skin color or their religion or their sexuality or anything like that. I'm opposed to bigotry. I am also opposed to bad ideas, and so I go after the bad ideas. What do you think we should do?
I just simply don't think that it's wrong to have an aversion to people that have believe in a book that says evil things. It doesn't mean you hate them, or it doesn't mean you have a complete...
It does, though.
It doesn't say to what extreme that aversion is.
Do you have an aversion towards Christians as well?
Well, yeah. Even though I'm a deist, so I say I believe in God, but I do... I would say, yeah,
Wait.
I have some aversion to the things
You
they believe.
you believe you're a deist.
Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead, Matt.
I think to a degree. I think they're... it scares me.
No, I'm saying you're a deist, and a deistic God is one that, by definition, does not intervene in reality in any detectable way, which means you cannot possibly have a rational belief that a deistic God exists. Do you have an aversion to yourself?
Well, I don't see it that way, but that's how you see
Well,
it.
you're
You
wrong.
might have an aversion to that.
You are wrong. You are wrong, and it's trivially easy to demonstrate that. Is it rational to believe things for which you do not have evidence?
Well, I think that I believe that I do have evidence.
I'm sorry. The question was, is it rational to believe in things for which you do not have evidence?
No, it's not.
Okay. How can you have evidence for a God that by definition does not manifest in reality in any detectable way?
Well, I consider the fact that I'm getting into a debate about my own beliefs now, but I would consider fact
that you're not getting into a debate. I'm just asking you a question. You've acknowledged that it's irrational to hold a belief for which you do not have evidence. And I'm saying, how can you have evidence for a being that by definition does not interact with reality in any detectable way? What is your evidence for the deistic God?
Well, you've mentioned to me that the unlikelihood of something doesn't mean that.
I'm sorry. I'm asking you, Tim, for what evidence you have. You don't need to mention what I've said to you before, because what I've said is irrelevant to whether or not you have evidence. So present your evidence for the deistic God, and you'll be not only the first person to do it, you will have done the impossible, because by definition, there cannot be evidence for that which does not manifest in reality.
Well, we see a we could see a human-made simulation, and the human can exist outside of the simulation. So
I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sorry, Tim, but I'm asking you for the evidence you have for deism, and you're talking to me about we can see something from a privileged perspective with a simulation. Can you get outside of existence and reality and look at reality from that privileged perspective?
I cannot.
Yeah. So if you can't, hang on. No. I'm running the show. If you can't do that, How did you come about evidence for God?
Well, like I said, I've tried to tell you this before, but you don't agree that there's an
I'm sorry,
analogical
Tim. I'm sorry, Tim. I don't need
comparison.
your preamble and whininess about how you've been told this before. I'm asking you to present the evidence for your God. If you fail to do that, we will have to conclude you are irrational and that we should be bigoted of you by your own rules. So what evidence do you have for God?
Well, instead of getting debate about this, how about I just say,
okay, how about I mute you, since it's very clear, Tim, that you are incapable of being honest and having this discussion honestly. But because I don't want to just shut everything down, I want to be able to play with my food. I like my friends to be able to play with my food as well, or their food, as the case may be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the break that you were hoping for, that I would stop asking you the questions that you know you cannot ask, and that you're probably not serious about, and that you're just trolling around in circles. And instead, I'm going to back off because I want to see if Brian can put up with your bullshit better than I can, because I just can't anymore. Instead of answering the question that you're asking, you keep wanting to talk about what I said to you in the past. Nothing I've ever said and nothing I've ever thought is in any way relevant to whether or not you have evidence for God. But let's see what you can do.
Tim, I'm curious to know why you think we should be phobic about anybody. How does that help things?
Well, if they believe in a prophet that, did evil things and promoted evil things, then why wouldn't you be afraid that they accept those beliefs? And very quickly, I don't see how believing in God is anywhere near as dangerous as believing in jihad.
Well, if your claim is that believing in irrational things is inherently dangerous, then isn't it? If you can't demonstrate a God, if your own view of God is that he can't possibly be detected because he doesn't interact with our world, and that you still embrace that idea, that to me seems irrational. So then, if we're having aversions towards people who have irrational beliefs, doesn't that count?
Yeah, but I think that how you would look at the harm that could come from something like that versus the harm that can come from supporting a radical belief system that, encourages honor killings and things like that. I don't think it's the same level of potential harm.
Yeah, no, there can be degrees, obviously, but you've kind of been the one to establish that it's the red line is irrational beliefs, right?
Yeah, I was using a shorthand descriptor, but I wouldn't say that that's the one factor. That is a factor.
Okay, so
hey,
maybe
are these Muslims you're afraid of? Are they in favor of jihad?
I mean, you don't know what's in everyone's heart, but
then why are you acting as if you do? Why are you acting as if you do?
Because you can look at evidence. So, like, I say I believe this. Okay, well, let's look at your book. What does your book say?
No. You don't get to do that. Do all Christians believe the same thing? Do all Muslims believe the same thing? No. So it would be completely unfair and by definition bigoted for you to judge one Muslim based on what other Muslims think, or one Christian based on what other Christians think, right?
It might be a leap to say everything they believe.
Do you know if they are a threat, and do you have any justification for treating someone as a threat without being able to demonstrate that they're a threat?
I think it's a piece of evidence. It's not. I would assume most people that are Muslim in the Western world, I mean, they have to live in society. Obviously, they're not going to be constantly, doing evil things. But if you believe something, it's evidence that you're going to have further agreements with the very evil things that are,
no, it's not,
are in the religion.
No, it's not. So basically,
Tim,
you're sitting here. I'm going to stop now because
No, that's okay. Tim, are you not far more frightened? Are you not far more frightened right now in America of Christian nationalists?
I would say that, yeah. I mean, with the Zionist ones, yeah, I'm frightened by them.
Just the Zionist ones, not the other nuts who don't think that anyone should be allowed to hold office unless they're a Christian, or they want to take the vote away from women and stuff like that. I mean, Christians have their own Sharia law, in essence, that they want to have, thrust on America at this point. You can hear them every day on Right Wing Watch.
Oh, let's just say if that's how you see it, I wouldn't consider it wrong for you to have a fear or aversion to those people.
Okay.
Well, I do have an aversion to those people, specifically who have broadcast their intention to take away our rights. I absolutely have an aversion to them. I don't necessarily hate them. I'm not in any way phobic in that classical definition. But yeah, I'm phobic towards ISIS and is, all of the terrorist organizations who want to do actual harm to people. But that's not your average Muslim who's just reading their Quran and trying to be a good person in whatever country they're living in.
I mean, I'm afraid of what the KKK wants to do with regard to civil rights, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid of everyone from the South or everyone with a rebel flag or everyone who's a Christian, all of which are tied to the KKK. And so the whole point is you can have a rational objection to and concern about certain positions. I would be terrified to say certain things about Islam in other countries because of what some of them would do, but I don't get to treat and should not be treating every person as if they're a threat to begin with and as if they're a dangerous individual to begin with. That's what the bigotry is. So you don't get to make an assumption that because you know something about some versions of Christianity or something about some versions of Islam that you can then treat all members of that class as suspect. They're literally the language in the law about this is about suspect classes. And you called in to say, why are we opposed to Islam? I'm opposed to Islam because I think, as Sam Harris has said, Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas, or at least it's really, really close. I'm opposed to Islamophobia because I'm opposed to bigotry. I don't know why you're not opposed to bigotry. Why are you a fan of bigotry instead of a fan of rational concern and objection when it's warranted?
Well, I think that if you were against anti-Middle Eastern or Arab racism, I think that would be...
That's literally what we're talking about with Islamophobia, and that's literally what you've been advocating. You've been suggesting repeatedly that if somebody is a Muslim, you think they're a greater threat, and so you get to treat them like a greater threat. Do you believe in due process?
Yes, man, I believe in due process.
Why would you say it like that? Why would you say it like it's a ridiculous thing? You are literally advocating for the civilian version of no due process. Instead of getting to know somebody, instead of learning who they actually are and what they believe, you are skipping past that and making a declaration that because you view their class as a problem, you get to treat them as a problem.
I wouldn't say treat them as a problem, but you can have some suspicion. For instance,
I don't give a shit. Tim, please stop. Yes. Nobody cares if you privately have suspicion. I didn't fucking call you, nor did I ask you, Tim, do you have private concerns? Do you have hidden bigotry? No, you called us and asked us why we're not bigots, and I'm asking you why you're okay being one.
Well, when you see a woman that's in a hijab,
I'm sorry.
Coerced.
I'm sorry, Tim. Tim, I'm sorry. But I asked you why you're okay with being a bigot, and you asked me something about when I see a woman with a hijab. Okay. How is what I see when I see a woman with a hijab? How is that relevant to you being okay with being a bigot?
Well, when I see a woman in a hijab, I assume she was forced or coerced into it.
Okay. So what? Why should anybody give a shit about what you're assuming and whether or not it's right? What's your justification for that assumption?
Tim, do you feel the same way when you see Ben Shapiro on a show and he's wearing a kippah or a yarmulke?
Do I think that he was forced or coerced into it?
Yeah. Do you think he was forced and coerced into it?
Yeah, he might have been
to have that covering on his head.
Yeah, he might have been coerced into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what conclusion can you reach from that?
Well, Judaism isn't proselytizing, so it's not like he's going to force everyone to wear the kippah. There's a risk.
No, but Jews have a holy book which has so much of the same stuff that you're concerned about with regard to their God beliefs that Muslims have. They have all kinds of horrible laws in there as well. Are you an anti-Semite as well?
So are you opposed to Muslims and Jews equally?
Am I Judeophobic? Maybe I'm Judeophobic. But I'm not an anti-Semite.
You're not? Do you think Israel deserves to live as a religious nation state?
As a secular nation state.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then you are anti-Semitic.
Okay.
I mean, according to them,
religious nation states.
No, I agree with you, but I'm saying there are people who would call you anti-Semitic for that.
Well, let them call me what they will.
Cool. So back to the point at hand, which is you called to ask us why we're not okay with being bigots, and I'm still trying to figure out why you're okay with being a bigot. I mean, and I asked that very clearly. I asked that for a reason, Tim. You decided to call in today specifically to ask this specific question. You were really concerned that we aren't fine with being bigots. And I'm just baffled that someone could be surprised that we're opposed to being bigots. So what prompted your concern over our lack of bigotry?
Well, I'm worried that you would let practices like that be encouraged in America, and I don't think
you're worried that I would let what be?
Yeah, what's the practices you're worried?
The wearing of hijabs and burqas.
You're worried that I would allow people the freedom to wear hijabs or yarmulkes?
I don't think the yarmulke is to the same extreme as.
I didn't ask what you thought about it. I didn't ask what you thought about it at all. It's called religious freedom. If you're free to wear a yarmulke, you're free to wear a cross around your neck. You're free to wear a hijab. You're free to wear, any of those things.
Well, do you think that children should be circumcised at birth by force?
No, I think that's absolutely child abuse.
It's part of both of those religions.
Yes, I'm aware that is a function that occurs in both of those religions, and it also occurs in other religions, and it also occurs outside of those religions, and I'm opposed to it, no matter who advocates for it. But you don't get to shut down an entire religious practice because there is a problem that you're opposed to. See, this is why you and I are both opposed to routine infant circumcision, right?
Yes.
Cool. And we're not opposed to letting people wear a yarmulke. Why?
Because the forceful action.
Like Obi-Wan?
Because that person was not forced if they're an adult, especially. But they were forced to be circumcised. And
what if they're essentially forced by threat of ostracization?
You're right, and I think that's a big risk. Absolutely.
Okay. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to do something to make sure that people can't ever be encouraged or discouraged from wearing the clothing that they like?
There's social. I don't want to use a negative word, but social steering, maybe. You can steer people.
Tim, you sound much more like a.
Go ahead.
Tim, you sound much more like a religious person worried about what people are wearing than a deist. I don't know where this comes from. Like, you can't imagine how little I care about what someone is wearing when they're walking around. This is so strange to me that this is your big push for being anti-Islam. Is you don't like what they're wearing?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the United States, and you're concerned that I will allow people in the United States to wear the clothing they want. Yes, I will. You're worried that I will allow people to exercise their religious freedoms until they encroach on the rights of others. Yes, I will. That's guaranteed and protected by the First Amendment.
You're breaking up a little bit. Sorry.
That's all right. It won't matter. You're not listening anyway.
I was listening.
Okay. So you are suggesting that we need to put a stop to things, and you're concerned that I will allow religious freedom. And the answer is yes, I will, as guaranteed and protected by the Constitution of the United States. I will allow religious freedom because their religious freedom to wear a yarmulke or a hijab, or anything else, or
Mormon
a cross
garments
on their neck. Mormon undergarments. All of those religious freedoms are what allow me to also object to them and to not have to wear them. So what you're advocating for reduces freedom out of your fear and ignorance. What I'm advocating for maximizes freedom and only goes after those things where there's a demonstrated concern and does not make people marginalized victims of prejudice.
Do you think that people of Muslim background should be challenged about, coercing their daughters, for instance, into wearing a hijab or a burqa?
What right do you have to ask someone to answer your questions about that? And how do you know that you're going to get anything closing the truth or actionable?
Well, in my opinion, you have to say something. Otherwise, you're letting that child be oppressed, and they're going to. You don't know that.
What reason do you have to think that a child is being oppressed? And by the way, what have you done, Tim, to end routine circumcision?
Oh, I haven't done enough.
Have you done anything?
No, I'm talking to you right now.
Oh, congrats.
Other people are going to
Instead of coming in like you're the fucking champion of anything, why don't you go do something?
Tim, if it were up to me, I would ban any child from being taught Christianity, particularly the doctrines of hell and original sin and all of that kind of stuff that have terrified so many children. But we don't live in a country where we have decided that that's something we want to step into people's personal relationships with their own children and put an end to. You get that, right? I mean, I assume you don't want us stepping in and not allowing children to be taught their parents' religion until they're old enough to think on their own, right?
Well, I mean, when you look at the First Amendment, it says, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion. So, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't think they shouldn't have the right to teach their children, but I think even a public school could weigh in on the different religions and give a neutral.
They do that. Yeah. I took a comparative
religions course my freshman year in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too.
At a public high school?
At a public high school, yeah.
As a Christian. Yes,
Okay.
some of us know things about the
didn't have
world
that.
and aren't seemingly baffled by it with incredibly simple views who can't answer a single question. Like, for example, you're worried that I would allow the wearing of a hijab. What's the justification for denying people to wear a hijab?
Because it can be a social. I wouldn't say we should deny them the ability to do so, but I would, if you want to know what the utility of that would be to call a social contagion.
Wow, you're just like straight up racist. Social contagion. Yes.
So
that's what social contagion. That's what social contagion means. What you're doing is and I don't. Yes, shut up, Tim, and listen. You're not doing it in the sense of here's a clearly categorized race, but you're engaged in the same type and style of prejudice and bigotry that is essentially racism. You have categorized a group of people with their own race and assigned a risk to them that you cannot justify, and decided that it would be okay to deny them basic rights, including the basic right to not have to answer your nosy, ignorant, busybody fucking questions. What right do you have to tell anybody else what to wear?
Well, I have every right to tell them. They don't have to listen.
Congrats, Tim. Thank you for that ridiculous, pedantic, irrelevant comment. Yes, as someone who has free speech rights, you're allowed to say it. I'm not talking about merely saying it. I'm sorry that the colloquialisms don't seem to work on you any more effectively than when I'm incredibly pedantic and precise with my language. So let's try that again. Are you proposing that we should in any way limit anyone's right to wear a hijab? Yes or no?
I guess not, no.
Cool. Then let's move on. What is your fucking objection? Because I'm tired of you wasting time with things that you're not willing to do anything about and not really concerned about, because it's becoming clear you are not serious at all. You've got 12 times you've called this show. 12 times you've called this show. Has there ever been a conversation with you that ended well, where you made progress and learned something, where you acknowledged something that you were confused about when you called in is now clear? I don't think that's ever happened.
I think so, but
like what? Give me an example.
What has your mind been changed by? I've had some good talks with you. Although since I've talked to you about political topics, then you stopped having a positive opinion of me. But
I don't know that I've ever had a positive opinion. I don't know that I've ever had a positive opinion of you, but I just asked you for an example of some point where we've done you some good and you've changed your mind, and you just keep whining and vamping and not actually giving the example. Would you give the example?
Okay. Last time I called Arden Ra, and I discussed that I had a fear of being punished by God, and they mentioned that who says God cares about moral things, and maybe don't worry so much, and I put that in perspective, and that was helpful to me. So I would say there's been some positive.
So you called in with a fear of hell. You called in with a fear of hell, and Arden said, "Don't worry," and that was enough.
I think I'm summarizing.
Well, he said, "Don't worry, be happy." I believe so. It was it's not just
maybe that's
worry.
my problem. Maybe instead of actually trying to teach you or answer your questions honestly, I should just throw you a bumper sticker.
Sure,
it does sound like
the bumper sticker, I'll buy it. I'll tell you what.
Tim, I've only been on this call with you. I don't think I've ever been on another call with you, but so far we've been talking about a lot of fear. Maybe just leave the fear behind.
Fear is the mind killer.
It really is.
I can come at you with slogans all day long. Fear leads to the dark side.
Well, They say that a big difference between being conservative and being a liberal is that conservatives have more fear than liberals.
Yeah.
I have read.
You know
that.
what else they say? Conservatives are stupider and less compassionate and less honest. But I'm not a liberal. I'm a lefty.
Well, I see the dangers of more and more women being coerced into wearing hijabs or burqas. I see that as a real concern, and I think that.
How do you know
what would you like to do about
they're
it?
coerced? Wait, how do you know they're coerced? How do you know that?
Well, if they grew up in a Muslim household and they come from that background, I mean, do I know with 100% certainty what goes on in their house?
I grew up in a religious
No.
home. I grew up in a religious home that I no longer choose to, follow the principles of that religion as like I did when I was a young person, but I did things as a young person growing up in that religious home because that was part of the religion and the culture that I lived in. I didn't feel necessarily coerced. In fact, in many ways, I was thrilled to be a part of it because I grew up believing, indoctrinated as I was, that it was a really cool religion and the truth of God's word. And I'm doing things not because I feel coerced, but because it's just part of the home that I grew up in and the culture I grew up in. Coercion is I don't think it applies to something like this. And nor do I see the harm in putting a covering over your head. Just that's why I asked about Ben Shapiro.
I mean, who's a greater danger? Not with regard to what power they actually wield, but whose ideas would be more dangerous to New York City, Mayor Mamdani or Mayor Shapiro?
I thought you were going to ask a girl in a hijab
Mayor
and
Shapiro,
Ben Shapiro.
I don't think that Mamdani really practices those. I mean, his wife doesn't wear a hijab.
So you're saying Mamdani's not a Muslim?
I don't.
I know liberal Muslims,
but I don't think he follows all the more extreme.
Yes, you're correct. He does not follow all the more extreme ones. That's the whole fucking point. He's a Muslim, but he's not the type of Muslim that you are scared of. Have you seen his wife? Is she running around in a burqa? Do you think that we're going to have, all kinds of Sharia law things happening in New York City now? No, you don't, because you don't think he's a real Muslim. I'm so glad we found Tim. Tim, can you always spot a trans person too, the way you can always spot a Muslim? Because if you've got a really good detector, we should hire you to tell us who's a true Christian, who's a true Muslim, who's cis, who's trans. I mean, it'll be wonderful. We won't have to have any more concerns because Tim is the guy that can figure this out.
Randall Rouser is not a Christian nationalist, but he's a Christian. They're not all the same. They accept certain parts and reject certain parts, and there's fundamentalists and then there's progressives in almost every religion. That's why it's ridiculous to direct your hate toward the entire group. Ridiculous to go ahead, Matt.
No, I despise Islam as a religion, as a practice, for the fact that it can't demonstrate that it's true, and because it includes, in many of its forms, many ideas that are antithetical to freedom and life and liberty. I feel the same way about Christianity and Scientology and pretty much any religion you can name, but that doesn't mean I feel that way about the adherents of that, and I don't put all the adherents in the same category. That's the point we're making.
Mm-hmm. Well, if freely, are you still there? I'm sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
If a number of Muslim people, came in to the United States freely. You know, they migrated. You know, they had every right to come here, and they started to, you know, impose aspects of, you know, the extreme aspects of Islam. I mean, that would be a problem, right? Even if it emerged democratically.
The way Christians are doing right now?
Yeah, well, maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't see that as much because I live in New York State, but I will take your word for it. Yeah.
You don't see that as much because you don't bother to look into things like Project 2025, and you don't see what they're implementing in the national government. That Christian nationalists, that fascist Christian nationalists running Project 2025 are in control of the country and doing Christianity's version of Sharia law. You don't see that?
Matt and I are now terrorists.
Well, the conservative court just denied to see the gay marriage challenge. So.
Oh, well, congratulations. What did they do on abortion?
They put it back to the states.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you picked one and I picked one. Have you got another one where the Supreme Court's done something really good and not supporting fascism? Because they've basically given Trump a blank check and acknowledged that he can do pretty much anything he wants as long as it can be perceived as being within his official duties. And everything that Project 2025 has advocated for and put forward has been happening. Are you not aware of that?
They've also allowed federal funding to go to schools and for prayer on the halftime
right now. So
show.
What's problems?
Yeah.
Well, the think tank that supposedly came up with that is having some turmoil right now. So I don't know that they'll be able to carry out that agenda.
You know, wait a minute. I think, Tim, I'm getting ready to call bullshit on your lies again. You don't know or claim you don't know what's actually going on with regard to what Project 2025 is achieving, but you do know that there's some inner turmoil in Project 2025. How do you know that? Are you part of Project 2025? Are you on the inside?
How do I know that? Because the I don't know what his position is. The executive leader of Heritage was just canceled for not wanting to cancel Tucker Carlson. I don't think that they're functioning at their height right now.
Wow. Let's go to give Tim a round of applause for that incredible insight into the good news is that Project 2025, despite being successful and despite this administration continuing to follow their guidelines, and despite this administration continuing to appoint the people they want and enact the things they want, they might be having a little bit of behind the scenes stuff that Tim is aware of, even though he's unaware of everything else that's happening.
Well, can you enlighten me as to some other things that they wanted to do other than ban abortion and gay marriage?
They want to end pornography. They want to move America back. The advocates are talking about whether or not it was right to give women the right to vote. They don't want trans people to have rights or to even be acknowledged as existing. They think that Brian and I are domestic terrorists and violent extremists for advocating for the rights of queer people. I don't know. Why do I need to do all your homework for you? You called in to ask me why we're not bigots while you are. And after we sit here and defend not being bigots, now all of a sudden, you seem to be going off on this tangent about Project 2025, while it's been effective and is absolutely Christian nationalism, might have some chinks in its armor. Well, congratulations. Have you heard about the Epstein files? Everybody's getting ready to have a little kink in their armor right now.
Far-right Christian nationalists want to have control of the 7 mountains, dominion over all of everything, government, entertainment, education. They want dominion over all of that, and they will openly say on their podcasts or YouTube channels that what they want to see is a United States where no one but Christians can hold public office. this is the kind of thing that they're openly stating that they want to do now. I find that far more frightening than a young girl in a hijab.
Yeah, I got a neighbor in a hijab. I had a neighbor 2 doors down who wore an niqab, the one where you don't get to see anything, like just completely covered. And do I suspect that maybe she was either enticed, encouraged, or demanded or required to wear that? I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility. What am I allowed to do about it? Nothing. That's what religious freedom is. However, should she come to me and say, I'm being forced to do this against my will, I think that there are then actions I can and should take to both protect her, to stand up for religious freedom, and to ensure that someone else isn't imposing their religious freedom on that person as well. We don't need to just be blanket assuming that there's a risk. We need actual demonstrations that here's something that is actionable. That's not bigotry, that's justice. Why are you more afraid of justice than you are of bigotry?
Well, the reason why am I more afraid of justice than bigotry? I don't think I'm afraid of justice. I think I like justice. I wouldn't call it bigotry.
Well, I would, and so would people who know what bigotry is. By definition, if you are making judgments about someone's risk based on something you know about somebody else, that is prejudice, prejudged, and it is bigotry.
You spoke also about being suspicious of people. I would just recommend not being suspicious of anyone until you have demonstrable evidence worthy of causing suspicion. You basically all you're doing is making assumptions of people based on what they believe.
Are you afraid of Mamdani?
No, I'm not afraid of him.
He's a Muslim, though, right?
I'm not afraid of him.
Yeah, but it's because you don't think he's a real Muslim, right?
Partially.
Okay. How do you determine who is a real Muslim?
I think real is a tough word there.
Well, you're the one that said it.
I don't have a specific answer for that. I think you know that I'm using real as shorthand for someone who practices the more extreme beliefs.
So no, I don't know that. I think that's the thing. So, okay, so you don't think that Mamdani practices extreme versions of Islam. So that tells me two things. One, that you recognize there are extreme versions of Islam and non-extreme versions of Islam. And number two is that you recognize that Mamdani isn't in the one that you view as a threat. How do you tell if somebody else is there? And what if you're wrong about Mamdani? What if Mamdani is a secret jihadist that they implanted in the biggest city in the United States specifically to start the takeover?
Well, to look at just one factor, I don't think that would be enough. But wearing the religious garb is one factor that.
Like the Pope
one
does?
Piece of evidence.
Like priests do?
Yeah, I guess so. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. You know what they say priests do.
Yeah.
What?
No, they don't just say it.
Yeah.
We have evidence of what they do. Yeah, it's grotesque.
Yeah. What is it that priests do?
Some of them molest children.
Some of them. How do you tell which ones?
I guess you can't assume,
like what they're wearing?
Assume there. I personally think that not allowing people to marry and have sex will mess up. You know, it's.
Yeah, I don't care anymore what you think. I don't care what anymore you think about that subject than any other subject you even approached. But every time we try to get to a point where you would have to recognize a problem with your thinking, you try to change the subject. Nobody asked you about what you thought about celibacy in the church, the word you couldn't think of. So the question is, yes, we know that there are ministers, both Protestant and Catholic, who have in fact not only sexually assaulted children, but have made a habit of it. And we know that there are religious and church organizations that have systematically hid those people from prosecution and shielded them. So that if you go to a new parish and you meet a priest or a preacher, no matter what they're wearing, whether they're wearing Jim Bob's fancy suit from the KG men's store down the street with their fancy shoes, or whether they're wearing a silly dress and a hat, it doesn't matter. How do you know which ones are a problem?
You don't know with the absolution.
Do you know with any confidence? Like if you see a priest, do you have a reasonable suspicion that that priest is a child molester?
I guess not, no.
Then how can you have a reasonable suspicion that somebody's being forced to wear a hijab just because somebody else might have been forced to wear a hijab?
Well, when you grew up, since a small child wearing that, when those...
It's shocking.
How could they not be? How could they not be coerced?
It's absolutely shocking. It's absolutely shocking the embarrassingly stupid cartwheels that your brain does when you've been led up to an ironclad argument that you will engage in the worst whataboutism. The point is, you don't shut up. Stop talking. Stop talking. You don't know that they chose to be a priest. They might have been indoctrinated into that by their parents and by their parish and everything else. And you don't know who did or didn't choose to wear the hijab. That's the fucking point, you ignorant fucking bigot who won't fucking listen, that you're making decisions that you do not have justification for doing. And you're making it differently, whether someone's a Catholic than if they're a Muslim, for the same unfounded criteria. You should be ashamed of yourself. You are a bigot, and you are doing everything in your power to avoid having to recognize it. Every time we lead your dumb ass up to the water, you are the horse that will not fucking drink reason.
Okay. All right. Are you going on, or?
No, I was done.
Well, I don't think you should take it to the extreme of, hating that person or not wanting to be around them.
I don't care about your opinions, Tim. Tim, let me get this straight. Tim. I will never give a fuck about your opinions. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you think you shouldn't take it to this extreme, whatever. Did you call us today? And did you call to ask why we're not okay with bigotry?
No, I didn't say that.
Did you call and ask why we're opposed to Islam and opposed to Islamophobia?
I asked you, given that you're opposed
to Islam. Did you call? Never mind, Tim. You can't even be honest when it's typed right here. When you literally at the start of the call, you're not going to get to speak again. I'm going to mute you. You literally at the start of the call said, did you see what I wrote? I've seen what you wrote. Why are you against Islamophobia when you're against Islam? I literally just asked you, did you call to ask us why we are opposed to both Islam and Islamophobia? And the only answer that an honest motherfucker could say is yes. And yet you are now tap danced yourself into a corner where you can't even say yes to the very topic that you agreed to earlier. That is typed in and written. Tim, I'm going to give you one chance. I'm going to unmute you. If you're just a prank caller, go ahead and let me know that you are actually just a dishonest prank caller and that you get your rocks off wasting our time by pretending to be way stupider than anybody could be. And if you're serious, just say I'm serious and we'll move on.
I'm serious.
You're beyond hope. Goodbye. All right. Let's see if we can do better.
Oh, please.
Because Alex is calling. Alex is calling from Maine. Pronouns are he, him. Alex is a theist who says that MAGA and God will save America from the abomination on earth. Hey, Alex, how are you?
Hey, what's up?
What's the abomination that we need to be saved from?
Well, the abomination can be seen all over America. I'm not going to specifically say what it is, but I think that it's the elephant in the room that we can all see.
Okay. When I ask you what is the abomination, does it do me any good for you to say it can be seen all over and you're not going to say what it is? I need to know what it is that we're going to be saved from.
I don't think it's politically correct to address it directly. I think we all know what it is.
Alex, I'm telling you, I don't know what you're talking about. So saying that we all know what it is doesn't do us any good. I cannot have a call-in show where we have a discussion where you won't tell me the topic of the discussion. So here's your last chance. What's the abomination?
Okay.
Can I take a guess?
And I'm going to say it. Okay. Okay. Take a guess. Okay.
Is it Christianity?
No, that's not it.
Because that's the abomination I fear most in America.
Well, I don't agree. I think the abomination is the loss of values and the ridiculous things people are doing all over this country, including drugs and including many. Yeah.
So you think that the abomination is that people have lost values and are doing drugs? Like what value?
Drugs
have we lost?
And much more and much more.
Look, Alex, listen, Alex. We finally got you to say something. I don't need you to make a longer list. Let's just start with what we've got. So you say there's a loss of values, and specifically you address drugs. Is there some value tied to doing drugs that you'd like to address, or is there some other value you'd like to address?
Well, there's many things. God intended the world to work a certain way.
Okay.
We're interfering with it.
Okay, I'm going to mute you, Alex. I don't know. I'm having difficulty taking you seriously. Because most of the time when somebody calls in to talk about the abomination on earth and then refuses to name it, they're either a troll or a lunatic. And I'd rather not deal with either one. So I'm asking the questions in order to try to get some kind of answer so that we can address something. If you're just calling to rile me up, it's not going to work. So let's just say that you say that MAGA and God will save us from the abomination of a loss of values. All I need you to do is give me one value that you think it is an abomination that we lost, and then we can discuss it. Because you and I might have the same value in one regard, or we might have different values in another regard. And so if we've lost a value, I might agree with you that we've lost it and should get it back. I just may not necessarily agree with you that it's MAGA or God that can do it or will do it. So let's try this again. Alex is back. Alex is calling from Maine, and Alex is going to tell us what value he wants to talk about that we've lost and he feels MAGA and God should restore.
Okay, one of the values is the people are not willing to work. They just want to consume. They want everything easy.
Okay.
They're materialistic.
That's good.
In excess.
No,
okay?
I don't need you to go on and on. You say people aren't willing to work. They're just materialistic. Why do you think that?
Yeah.
Most people don't want to work. How many?
Yeah,
what percentage of people?
Idea of America.
What percentage of people work?
Well, you just go and you look at the unemployment rates, which are ridiculous.
What's the unemployment rate? What's the unemployment rate right now?
I know it's high, but I don't know exactly the number. Should I know it? I know it's high.
It's not high.
That's all.
It's not crazy high, but I don't know what you mean by high. You say it's high, but you don't know the number. What would you guess?
Why do you have to corner me into this question? I think I made myself clear with what I said.
I'm sorry, Alex. I thought I was going to be engaging with someone who had an honest point to make and maybe knew what they were talking about. Because if you're going to sit here and say that MAGA and God are going to save us from the abomination of people not wanting to work, and the unemployment rate has gone up over the last month, but is still about 4.3%. There may be a lot of people who don't want to work, but they're working. Like I don't want to work sometimes, but I do.
I don't believe in those numbers. I don't believe in those numbers.
You don't believe in the numbers. You don't.
I don't believe with the number of homeless people that we have and all that. I think those numbers are skewed to make America look good. That's what I think.
Do you have?
Because
do you have
what I see on the street.
Do you have, Alex? Do you have better numbers for us to use? And where did you get them?
You just go around and you look at the situation of this country.
Oh, so
That's
instead of
ridiculous.
looking at the actual numbers, instead of looking at the actual numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and multiple independent investigations, we should just have Alex go around and tell us how many people aren't working. That's the best method to figure this out, right?
And that's beyond the fact of what I'm saying, which is that Americans are spoiled.
No. I agree with you that Americans are, in many cases, spoiled. I'm now saying that, see, there's no way we can have a conversation with you, Alex, because I'm going to go by the actual data and the most reliable data and the scientists and experts and independent organizations, and we're going to cross-reference those things to try to figure out what the unemployment rate is. Never in my entire life will I be satisfied taking Alex's let me go look around and tell you roughly how many people are unemployed information over actual statistics. So do you have something else other than your personal assessment that we can focus on?
Well, but you agree on the spoiled part, and I think that's the central aspect of what I mean by abomination.
I would love to find out what you mean by abomination.
A loss of values. Like you can compare us to other nations.
I understand what abomination means, and you already said loss. Yeah. Name one value that you think we've lost and need to get back.
Oh, basic respect. I think that you are a
basic respect.
Proof
okay.
Of that.
I'm sorry.
You're
I'm sorry. So hang on. Basic respect. We've lost it, and we need to get it back. What is Trump and MAGA doing to bring back respect?
What are they doing? Well, they're promoting traditional values. Traditional values.
No, first of all, traditional values aren't about respect. Traditional values they're posing don't respect women. Don't give women equal rights. Don't give women the right to vote or have a checking account. And Trump is the most disrespectful person that has ever sat in that office. So what is MAGA doing to bring back the respect value?
Well, first off, I'm gonna answer the part where you say that Trump acts like a lunatic, and that's just.
I see, Alex. I didn't actually say lunatic. I was talking about respect. I'm sorry, Alex. If you can't even be bothered to listen to what I say and reflect it accurately, and now you're not caring about data or good information, and you have yet, you're like, we need to bring back respect. MAGA and God will do that. First of all, I don't necessarily know that we've lost respect in any sense that we need to bring back. You haven't made a case for that. But all I asked was, what is MAGA doing? So what policies are being put in place to bring back respect? And by the way, respect in what sense? Like respect for you, or respect for men, or respect for white people, or respect for humanity, or respect for God? Respect for what?
Respect for life in general.
I have respect for life in general.
The working class in this country, has been disrespected
by Trump and MAGA
for decades. No.
Trump
MAGA represents
No. While it has happened across the board, MAGA is not doing anything to help the working class. They are making things more difficult on the working class. Food costs more, gas costs more. Our farmers just got completely screwed while Trump sends billions to Argentina to bail them out and to allow China to buy their soybeans. What is Trump doing for the middle class to bring them respect and dignity? That's what I thought.
You see that as a weakness. That's not a weakness. That's not a weakness. No, that's not a weakness.
No,
you're wrong.
You're the weakness, Alex. Alex, you're the weakness.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You think that Alex, the prices go up? That's the problem. That's
Alex, can I ask you a question? When were the poor and the middle class growing at a faster rate than the upper classes in this country. It's only happened one time in human history. When did that happen?
Or 1950s.
Yeah, 50s, 60s, late 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
60s, 70s. And what was the top marginal tax rate for you can you there are two particular top marginal tax rates that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, they were low, but these are different times.
No, they weren't low. No, they were not low. The top marginal tax rate during that time was 91% under Eisenhower and 70% under JFK and LBJ during the 60s, and up through until Reagan cut the top marginal tax rate to 28%. So that's when the middle class was really kicking ass. That's when we respected as a country the middle class, and people got services. We were doing amazing things, building highways and roads and dams and putting a man on the moon. America was great then, because that's what you need to build greatness, right? You need to pay for it, because anything that's great, you're going to have to pay out the ass for. You want a great car, you're going to pay like crazy. And so what you have to do is pay for it. And the only way you can pay for it is to have some kind of broad, fair tax base like that. And then the middle class will really do well. That's what we did for all those years. Is Trump doing that, or is he cutting taxes on the top people, the top earners?
The top earners are the only hope for America right now. Middle class
Really?
can't do anything.
I'm sorry, Alex. I thought you said MAGA and God were the only hope for the top earners.
Yeah, and I thought you cared about the middle class.
But how do you think God works on Earth? He works through people. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How do you know that God does anything?
How do I know? Because God is responsible for this world. He's the orchestrator of everything.
How do you know that?
He made you. God
How do
made
you know
you, Matt. God
What
created
may be
you.
me? What may be me?
God created you, Matt.
How do you know that?
Because He's created you in the womb of your mother. You should pay the respect back to Him. That's what you should
okay,
do.
You're not serious. You are not serious. This is beyond stupid and beyond lying now. How can I know that God created me?
Why do you think this universe is intelligent? There's a reason for that.
No, the universe isn't intelligence. Neither is most of this call. I'm asking a question. How can I know that God created me?
Because God is the force that moves this universe forward all the time. You know,
Prove
the
it.
universe has certain principles. Wait,
Prove it.
Wait, hang
Prove
on.
it.
Hang on.
Prove it. No, I'm not
Hang on.
fucking hanging on. You don't
Hang
tell me to
on.
hang on my.
Hang on.
You don't get to
Hang-
tell me. You're not going to. No, you're not going to fucking tell me to hang on my show.
All right.
Prove that God is the force
All
behind
over
the
me all the
universe.
time.
Yeah, I'm going to talk right over you because you're
interrupt
full
me.
of shit. Yes, I do. I do interrupt you. Why are you interrupting me to tell me what I already know? Do you think I don't know that I'm interrupting you and putting you on hold and schooling you like a bunch of fish? When I ask you a fucking question, that's the question you're going to ask, or we're going to move on. So the question I've asked repeatedly was, how can I know that God created me? And your answer was, because God is the thing with... No. You don't get to say, because that's what God is. I don't believe that God is. And so what we're asking is, how can you demonstrate to us that God created me? That's what I want to know. How can I know God created me?
You want to know? All right.
Okay, I'm going to mute you again, and I need you to listen very carefully, Alex. I'm being incredibly patient with you, despite the fact that I'm more confident that you are a lying troll than you are that there's an actual God. I don't need you to be sitting there thinking or trying to come up with a preamble. When I ask you a question and you come back with, oh, do you want to know this? That's called stalling. That's called avoiding the question. So I'm going to unmute you. And when I do, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to say, Matt, you can know that God created you because, and then give your answer, or you will say something else, and I will hang up and we will go on to super chats. By the way, we're going to be reading all the super chats that come in tonight. I think is it still at the $5 limit or the $10, whatever it is. We're going to be getting those super chats up here in a minute. Just as soon as Alex explains to me, very simply, all you got to do is say, Matt, oh, Alex ran away. Alex, at the very opportunity. Values. Yeah, that's not very respectful, Alex. And it wasn't respectful for you to avoid answering the question and to make all kinds of claims. This is bizarre to me.
Yeah. I really wanted to talk to him about values because you know Justin from the Deconstruction Zone, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
You've been on with him? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we've done several shows. One of my favorite co-hosts.
I am addicted to that show. And one of my favorite things about it is that you really do get to see Christian values in action every single day that he's on, where Christians defend slavery and rape marriage and genocide and killing virgin girls who don't bleed on a sheet, and punishing David's wives with rape when David was the one. They defend it just constantly. Where are the values? This is the thing that drives me, because I believe Christianity in particular, but all the Abrahamic, what I call the tribal war God of Abraham religions, all of them just absolutely corrupt the heart and mind. They shut down the thinking. They shut down your empathy. And you can watch it every what is he on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday? You can watch it hours and hours of Christians just stepping in it and then throwing it all over themselves and covering themselves in absolute horrific shit. It's unbelievable. Those are the values.
It's wild. So go ahead and get your super chats in. What's that?
Should we have more of that? Is that what Alex wanted?
So the thing is,
oh boy,
I'm gonna explain some stuff about doing this show that some people, because like, I blocked somebody earlier for saying, oh, Matt's just a bully on it. No, I'm taking incoming calls. As long as somebody's willing to have a conversation, be honest, as we or even tolerable the way Tim was, you can stay on for a long time. Here's how I know that Alex isn't real. You remember in the old days when you'd be surfing the internet and you'd come across a news headline and you'd be like, wait a minute, is this The Onion? And you'd go look and it would be The Onion. And you'd be like, wow, my censor for this is really good. And now there's a bunch more there are a lot more parody sites. And so you had to stop going, oh, is this The Onion? You'd have to be like, oh, is this the Babylon Bee or whatever, and you get used to it. And then it became, the world got to be so ridiculous that you'd see a headline and you go, there's no way that's real. And then it would turn out to be real. And then people just started sharing everything without checking it because it was too much work for them to check it. Well, I still check. And one thing is, the notion that someone would say MAGA and God are going to save us from the abominations only fits with someone who can quickly and easily say, here are the abominations. This is the corruption of the world. And this is how God and MAGA is using, or God is using MAGA to do this. It wouldn't be a bunch of whatabouts or let me think, or, oh, don't you think it's this? And it's very important that we empower the wealthy. I mean, this is cartoonishly bad levels of prank calling. This is like, have you got Prince Albert in a can level for those of us who've done this for 20 years. For people who don't, who are like, well, there are some nutso people out there. If he's serious, he's still not worth talking to. And if he's not serious, he's not worth talking to. I'm not in this for clicks and views and all that. So I want to have the good conversations, which is why we kept Tim on as long as we did. We didn't have other options at the time, but it was like, okay, at least we're getting, Tim's trying to defend something.
Right.
Just doesn't want to acknowledge its bigotry. And in this case, Alex doesn't even want to defend anything. He's just, let me tell you how MAGA and God are going to prove that God could even give me a hangnail. I had one the other day, and cut it off. It wasn't even all that annoying. It was just a little bit of a nuisance. And I don't think any God that's ever been proposed has enough power to even do that.
Let alone cure your hangnail.
Yeah. It's bizarre to me. But anyway, rough day, rough stuff. Let's get on to a handful of super chats here. Also, before we do that, Arden, you want to do the announcements for this weekend again?
Yeah, so we are going to be doing another LineCon event. If you guys don't know, LineCon is our special event we do for our patrons, where our hosts will give like around 20-minute long talks, just like you'd have at a regular convention. And our lineup for this weekend, and that'll be this Saturday, the 15th, is I lost it. It is Erica Gutsa-Gibbon, John Gleason, and Dr. Ben. So you definitely don't want to miss out on those. And you're going to be getting clips from the first ones from several months ago this weekend as well. But the clips from this one aren't going to go out for another 2 or 3 months. So definitely, if you want to see Erica's talk or John or Ben, you want to get in this weekend for $15 and higher patrons. The patrons below the $15 tier do get it sooner than everyone else. They'll get it like in a week or so, but yeah, it won't get posted to YouTube for free and for several months then. Also, send super chats, you guys. We don't have that many super chats in. $5 or more. Give us your money. Come on. What are we here for? We're doing the dancing monkey thing. Come on.
We are working on all kinds of cool stuff, including new mugs and whatever else. But the big thing is, have you guys got ideas of what we could do better to encourage people to call? Because after all these years, I've tried everything. I've done full-on Zen mode where I'm unflappable. By the way, everybody who is like, you're doing it wrong, you need to be Zen mode way more often. Have you noticed that call volume and individuals calling in to actually defend their beliefs seems to have dropped as my energy seems to have dropped? I can try and be more upbeat, but the thing is, what we end up getting are people like Alex. Like, where's the callers calling in to say, I understand, hey, maybe the MAGA folks weren't the right way to do it, but Christian nationalism, the Project 2025 stuff, doing the things that we know God wants us to do, that's important. They don't call in because here's the problem. I've been asking these questions for 20 years. And I think the problem is that I get to the end question first. Instead of letting them go on their story and ask 20 questions and meander down and then get to here's a question later on, I tend to jump right to the end first. And so when you say that MAGA and God are going to save us, cool. What are they going to save us from, and how are they going to do it? And if you haven't thought well enough to know what they're going to save us from and how they're going to do it, we're kind of stuck. And when you say that God does stuff, what's the first question I'm going to ask you? How do you know?
Right.
I don't know why this simple question of how do you know that doesn't occur to people before they bother to call in. But I think we should just rename the show to How Do You Know? And then they can call in and they can say, I know because. I know there's a God because. I know there's this because. Because in this case, we had someone on who was a deist, who doesn't seem to know what deism is, and thinks that they can have a rational evidence-based conclusion about deism, while simultaneously agreeing that it doesn't manifest in reality in any detectable way. I mean, what else doesn't manifest in reality in any detectable way? All the other things that don't exist.
Yeah. All the non-existent gods do the same thing. It's amazing. Really impressive.
They look exactly the same. It's like, if you take every verifiable feature of the Christian God and every verifiable feature of the Muslim God, and every verifiable feature of every Hindu God, and every viable claim about Scientology, they all look the same in that none of them are verifiably real or true.
Right.
Your God is fake. If anybody could prove. Now, here's the thing. I've been incredibly cautious and careful with my words. Atheism is not the assertion that there are no gods, because I'm anticipating a high-level response from them, where if I was going to say, if somebody says, hey, what's atheism? And I say, it means you believe there aren't any gods. Aha! You think you believe something you can't demonstrate. No. It's the lack of belief. It's merely not believing. No. It's not just merely not believing. It is having considered the position and rejecting it. But rejecting it means you found it false. No, rejecting it means I failed to find it true. Just like the jury failed to find OJ guilty, even though he was definitely guilty and they were wrong. Similarly, they might have found him guilty. Similarly, he could have been innocent and found guilty. How you find something is independent from what it is. And so I sit here and I tried so hard, but now I'm done. From now on, your God is bullshit, prove me wrong. Your God doesn't exist either, prove me wrong. I'm absolutely going to assert that you have no evidence-based argument for your God. Clip this now, spread it around to all your pastor friends, spread it around to all your apologists. The days of wading through any sort of philosophical nuance are over. Your God is bullshit, just like the rest of them. Prove me wrong. You want me to make a case? Book the debate. I'll make the case. I will make a positive case that there's nothing that qualifies as a God anywhere in and out of reality. Anyway, we got super chats. We're going to start going through some of those, but.
Okay. You want me to take this one?
Go for it.
$9.99 from Greg Markowski. Here's a super rent. Rent.
Okay. I said somebody was living rent free in my head. What is a super rent?
Oh, don't let it be said that I live in your head rent free.
Yeah. Well, let me read this next one, and while you're reading the one after that, I need to ask my producer a question.
Okay.
$10 from Joshua Everett. I let my local Dem Party office know yesterday that they would no longer be getting my monetary voluntary support as long as Schumer remains in leadership, and the filthy eight weren't publicly rebuked. I called Schumer's office and left a voicemail. And I let him know who I was, where I lived, and in no uncertain terms that I think he's either a liar or incompetent and should resign in either case. But that I suspect he's a liar and incompetent.
$10 from Misha A. Money to ask Tim, the fashion police of America, if I can wear a scarf today. Scarves. I wear scarves in the winter because I hate my neck being cold. But I have this weird thing where I have a condition called essential thrombocythemia. My blood doesn't work right and all that kind of stuff. And anything usually around my neck, you'll never see me like I can't quite wear a turtleneck sweater because it'll give me a headache, but I can somehow wear a scarf. I don't know what that's about. So I wear scarves all the time. Is Tim's gonna be very afraid. It's gonna be horrifying for him, poor guy. I can't imagine walking around with that level of fear on a daily basis. You know, you see a person in a yarmulke, you see a priest, you see a young girl in a hijab. Oh no. It's just the fear.
It's wild because
he's got to let it go.
It's wild because do I have concerns about those things on occasion? You bet. I have concerns about whether or not people are being coerced into certain things. The difference is what I do with that information. I don't set up this person is now in the significant risk category for me to actually take action on. That can't happen until there's actual risk assigned to that person. That is fundamentally the same as the white people that reach over and lock their car doors when they're driving through the part of town where it could be a terrible part of town. It could be a part of town where you're more likely to be burglarized. But if you wait till you actually see somebody who to you looks sketchy or whatever, and you hit that, then what you're doing, you could be right. But what you're doing is sending a message and reinforcing a bigotry of your own.
Right.
The only reason we don't see it more, I think, is because car doors pretty much automatically lock, and most of the new doors every time you're driving around, or you don't have to reach up to do it. It's just
my favorite. My favorite new feature in my car is auto unlock and lock. As long as I have the fob on me, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is rational and justified to be afraid of murderers and thieves. It's just bigotry and delusional for you to think that you can easily identify who they are without any outward indicators that this is a murderer or a thief. It's like pointing a gun at you saying, give me your wallet or your life,
Right. And this country has had enough of its, share of bigotry and that kind of thing. So we can get rid of that. Should I read this one? You want me to get this one? Did you ask
I think
your
this
question?
one's mine. Steven Kleinard. Hey, Matt, don't kink in your armor shame. Yeah, that was a while ago, yes. Everybody's going to get kinks in their armor.
$10 for Sapphicasard. Some of these names are crazy. I missed most of the show, but this Alex dude is a joke. Bro is just presupposing facts that make him right to be correct and then ignoring everything that contradicts it. Well, yeah, that's kind of what that's called cognitive bias, I think. Something like that, right? It's one of those.
The call was effectively over, I think, exactly at the point that Sapphic Hazard mentioned, where Alex was essentially saying, I don't trust those numbers. Oh, you don't trust the numbers from the administration. Okay.
Right.
I thought that was particularly wild because his whole thing was MAGA's going to save us. And I'm like, that's their numbers. What do you mean? You don't trust?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
You know what I don't trust?
They don't trust.
I don't trust MAGA's numbers for a number of things because they hid the real numbers on websites when they don't agree with what their mission is.
Right. Also, didn't they just last month they kicked the head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics out because she was telling the truth about the labor statistics. That's all you need to know about somebody. If someone tells the truth and you get mad at them for telling the truth, what else more do you need to know? I'm a bad guy. I might be the bad guy. I've gotten pretty used to it over the last 20 years or so. The number of times that I get named and blamed and accused of being the puppet master and in charge of everything everywhere in the movement, evidently, is staggering. It's really funny because I repeatedly gave up control. Like I probably could exercise a little bit more control at the line, not much more, because I don't care to. Arden and Jimmy are doing great. The volunteers are doing great. I just show up and talk. I'm not involved in too many of the decisions about anything other than, hey, I'd like to do this show. Hey, I'd like to do this show with this person. I'd like to do this. And so I'm going to mention obliquely and unfairly, without mentioning any names, a weird bit of drama this week because it just struck me and made me sad. And then right before the show, it's what I was laughing at about living rent-free in somebody's head. There's an individual who was advertising they were going to be speaking at a convention. And, wow. Okay, here's the short version that doesn't...
You could just
this is surprisingly difficult. So the short version is that somebody questioned the lack of diversity at a conference. And rather than, I don't know, engaging at all, it blew up incredibly quick. And that person basically said, fuck off, I don't owe you anything. And some people thought that was a bit harsh. And so they reached out to him. That person also went to the individual's husband and basically said, get your woman in line. And several other people jumped in and saw what was going on, and this thing is blown up into a meltdown. Now, my suspicion is that this person who's going off on everybody is having a difficult time and was having a difficult time and may need some help on some front. Not my business. But all I said after everything went down was that I hope they get some help. I'm sorry that I platformed him. That was it. I wasn't involved in the discussions or, the fighting, the videos that were being made back. Not involved in any of it. And right before we go live, somebody sends me a video because somebody else who has been called out for being awful has decided to take this opportunity to reach out to this other person who's being awful. And while floating around in the pool, talking about how, the same people are ostracizing you, they're ostracizing me. And then the only thing he did to indicate who he was talking about at all was to say, and now they're saying they're embarrassed to have platformed you. So they quoted me. I'm not involved in any of it other than to say, I hope this person gets some help. And I'm sorry that I platformed him. And now the other people who have been awful and ostracized essentially themselves for being awful, they're like trying to gather everybody. And what's funny is I've seen this happen like 5 or 6 times. None of them are going to matter in a year. None of the drama is going to matter in a year. And those of us who are still here, raising money for organizations, working for secular causes, trying to ensure that we increase diversity and equity and inclusion. Ooh, DEI, there we go, as if that's a bad thing. We're going to keep going. And if people are like, oh, no, I want to have the racists on my show. Oh, no, I want to have the MAGA folks. Cool. Do whatever you want to do. And if you don't think that a lack of representation is a problem, that's fine. You're free to do that. And the people who don't want to associate with you are just saying, we're not going to associate. You're kicking me out of your community. No, you're removing yourself because you care more about your personal benefit and whining about who doesn't want to hang around you than you do being the type of person somebody wants to hang around with. So, Derek, don't miss you. Oh, shit, I said a name. I'm going to charge him rent next time.
Is this me or you?
It's me. $10 from Ali Shauna. Silver bow. Brave Sir Alex ran away. Bravely ran away. When honesty reared its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled. Brave Sir Alex.
What is that from?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I thought it was a Monty Python thing. Yeah. I remember that now. Okay, I remember.
Yep.
As they're jaunting away. Yes.
Oh, I could do it with cups.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds really good.
Oh, it sounds better on the table.
Oh, there we go. We got it.
I've pulled up to the castle. It.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alijana.
Red, no blue. $10 from Space Barbarian 3484. It's my favorite Space Barbarian. What the fuck is Alex talking about? The abomination? Obama. That's a Mr. Deity thing. The abomination ended in January 2017. In the Mr. Deity cosmography, Mr. Deity is upset with Larry because he's published the book, the script as they call it, and there was a typo in it. He said that it would be an abomination or an abomination, and Larry put it down as abomination. So it's that goes back to 2007, the abomination thing. Yeah, that's part of the Mr. Deity thing.
I wish I was still in an abomination. January.
Yes. Oh, don't we all? Don't we all?
I mean,
I would settle for
only
a Bush
comparatively.
nation.
Yeah, I mean, only in a relative sense. I mean, there's plenty of others that I'd like more. It's it's very strange absolutely. For me to be here as an atheist, godless, heathen, lefty, woke ass dipshit and have two favorite Muslims, like I would probably have more if I knew more of them.
Right.
Right. But unfortunately, they've got a really bad PR group. And so a lot of us, like Tim, evidently run into people like Daniel Hikikachu, who are making excuses for essay with 4-year-olds. Right. And I have fuck tons of problems with Islam. And I would agree that Mamdani and Mehdi Hassan and a number of others aren't advocating for any principles that I would normatively view personally as any sort of orthodox version of Islam. But I am not the arbiter of who's a Muslim and who's not, or who's a Christian and who's not. And if somebody tells me they're a Muslim and they're also a godless heathen leftist, but they're a Muslim, I don't understand it. But I have former friends, I have acquaintances, I don't know what category to put some of them in, who are secular Jews. And so they're Jewish by heritage, and you would think, oh, yeah, but I mean, that's different. That's cultural Judaism and not Judaism religion. No. These are secular Jews who go to temple and rise up when they say the name of the God, and they participate in the rituals, and they have the same objections that I do on all sorts of things, right down to routine infant circumcision. And so I don't care who considers them to be true Jews, true Christians, true Muslims. If there's a God that's considering them that, that's up to that God. If it's a person that's considering them that, that's up to that person. If they're calling themselves that, that's how I'm going to refer to them. It's not up to me to say you're not Muslim enough, just like it's not up to you guys to say you're not cis enough, you're not trans enough, you don't pass enough, you're not straight enough, you're not gay enough, you're not left enough, you're not right. Nobody asked you. Why is it a problem for you to recognize that people are different, and that when you judge person A based on what you know about person B, you are engaged in prejudice if you haven't reached the point where they have warranted that? Anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely.
$5 from Jessica87, which should say something like most unique McDoodoo face or something. We'll see. Oh, it's in there. Yes. Missed most of the show. Have to go back and watch. You two are the most unique hosts. There it is. We've had on today, so can't wait. Hashtag love you soon. Hashtag Zerbion sucks. For those who don't know, amongst my many pet peeves, unique means unique. It means one of a kind. It can't be most unique, very unique, somewhat unique, extra unique. Why not just go with impressive or... I'm going to lose this fight colloquially, just like I lost. This pains me. Hang on. Nuclear. Oh my God. Yes. Irregardless and nuclear. I lost both of those battles. They're in the dictionary. And it's like, you remember, I was thinking about this earlier today. You remember back when online social media fights and the posts that were most amusing and would start stuff are ones mocking people for not being able to get your and your right, or there and their right, or two and two right. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore because we're back to trying to figure out if the earth is flat and whether or not women should have rights.
Right. Oh, it's so true. So true. It's amazing. Or whether we should still have slaves. If you're listening to some of the other content on YouTube from Christians. Oh my God. $9.99 from JSoul 112, my favorite JSoul. Is there anyone better than 112? Hey guys, just wanted to ask. Yeah, right. I mean, no one can name anybody. Hey guys, just wanted to ask what you guys think about the fraud case in Minnesota going on.
Yeah, I think so.
And how the right are blaming Somalians and the governor. I don't know anything about this. It seems like a big problem for Minnesotans. Love the show. I don't know anything about this. So, JSoul, I feel like I've let you down. You're my favorite JSoul, and I'm just an utter useless piece of meat at this point.
I'm not even getting the same story to pop up. So, for example, there's a story that came out today that says federal prosecutors said today they're still deciding whether to seek the death penalty against the man accused of killing former DFL House Speaker Melissa Hortman, her husband. But that's the wording for something else. That's not even the fraud audit case. A 1-year contract between a key Minnesota agency and a consulting firm will cost the state. Okay, what I'm finding popping up does not make any sense. So I have no thoughts about this case because I don't know anything about it. So let's just say I don't know.
We have no idea. Sorry, J Soul.
I'm not sure it rises to the level of shit I have time to worry about, but $5 from Myra Tay6, Zen sustained. Kind of. Kind of. I wouldn't say I was Zen, but doing what I can.
Yeah, I would never consider you totally Zen as far as I've seen. You know, I've been watching you since 2007. I think it's when I started. Oh my God, that's fun. That's exactly what I say to people who say, "Oh, I've been watching you since Mr. Deity."
Take a fucking walk or something,
so
man.
Yeah, so sorry. But Zen is not one of those words that I would generally connect with you.
Nobody would. I get there sometimes.
$5 from @A.Krenich. Great show. Just sending my love to host, crew, and chat. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's so nice.
$10 from Squirrel Knitter. Do you think MAGA will try? No, I don't think MAGA will try anything. I think they coast on whatever. Oh, wait, never mind. Do you think MAGA will try to bring back slavery as an individual property right? I know the possible disenfranchisement in the 14th Amendment. I know Trump supporters who are for it. Here's the thing. There will be a civil war to end all wars before people allow that to happen. Will they try? Oddly enough, I don't know. I'm sure somebody's going to try. I'm sure somebody out there wants to try. I don't know if it's the sort of thing that I don't know what it would take for that to get traction. And yet all the things that I thought couldn't get traction already did.
Matt, when was the last time we raised the minimum wage? How far back is that? Do you know? Is it like 2005?
States do it all the time. I don't know when there was. Right. I don't know when the last time for the national.
It seems like it's forever. We're almost back to slavery with the lack of raising the federal minimum wage because your inflation goes up every year. Yeah. It just goes up and up and up and up and up. So that $7.25 an hour is now almost the equivalent of nothing. I mean, it's just obscene. Why the minimum wage wasn't tied originally to inflation is absolutely beyond me. It's insane.
I think that the most likely answer to your question, Squirrel Knitter, is one that's right in front of us every time. They wanted to eliminate abortion, but they couldn't because they were outnumbered. So they created trap laws and other limitations to do things that are like, hey, we're not making abortion illegal. It's legal. It's just effectively impossible to get. And similarly, we're not going to legalize slavery again. We're just going to effectively legalize slavery again because they're already building work prisons and talking about moving homeless people into those camps or unhoused people into those camps. If they don't raise the minimum wage, as Brian was talking about, if we don't do anything to guarantee any sort of minimum basic living or health care or anything like that, and if they start changing the way you're eligible to vote, who can vote, whether or not, felons could ever vote, who's going to get pardons, all of their cronies get out, it would effectively be slavery.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It takes the steam out of you, doesn't it? $5 from DJ Satanus. I'm going to say that like it's Latin. Satanus. Pretend this is all pennies. Make it rain ghetto style. I'm not sure I know what that means. I mean, I know what I know you can make it rain.
$5 in pennies.
500 pennies. Yeah, you could make it rain.
You can throw $5 in pennies at me anytime you want. Actually, probably only if they're in a bag, because I don't think it'll hurt that much, and I'd have $5.
Yeah, not quarters.
But if you threw them to me without the bag, I don't think I'd pick them up.
Yeah.
Like it's not yet worth it for me to pick up $5 in pennies, but we're getting closer to that. So good job. $10 from A.B. Licious. Or no. A.B. Lius. Not Licious.
Abelius?
Oh, well. What if they really meant Licious and just misspelled it and left it there for amusement? F you, Jimmy. Keep up the good rework, Matt. I'm trying.
F you, Jimmy. I wanted to say it too long here. $9.99 from Christopher Bork. Honesty is the best policy. Disregard the haters, Matt. Thanks for everything you do and the line do. You and the line do.
Let's do that though, Brent.
Thanks, Christopher.
Every single super chat. Let's say F you, Jimmy, just on principle.
F you, Jimmy. Yes, we should. Absolutely.
Here we go. Here's another one from Abelius. #, Team Arden. F you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
F you, Jimmy. $20. What is $20?
Nice.
$20 from Misha. Don't let the haters get you down, Matt. On behalf of queer, trans, POC, I appreciate white folks who are passionate about calling bigoted fools what they are, because it's been on us to do that labor for so long. Much love. Yeah, it's just I am kind of blown away that we're still having to deal with this shit on every level. It really is like how is this not done? How are we not done with this? I mean, it's just,
and that's part of what happened with regard to that conference. This is in no way a slight against the conference or the people going, or even the individual that got all upset about it. There are some people who are fairly new to the broader secular community. They don't have the long history of what fight happened when, and who had a fight with who when, and what organization turned out to be shitty, and who did this, and nobody expects that. And quite frankly, I'd like for some of it to just die off. But I also want to make sure that there are things where people are held accountable. There are genuinely people who stole money, who ruined organizations, who sexually assaulted people, who have attempted to stage coups to take over democratic organizations so that their buddy wouldn't have to lose his job. There are people who have done terrible things like that. There are people who have who were more interested in their own personal gain and everything else, that they were willing to play at being somebody that they weren't. And we've exposed some of them. And yet there's a bunch of great people here who've been fighting for queer rights, who've been fighting for people of color's rights and representation in the movement for this whole time. And so when we see a convention where the lineup is really white, really male, anything like that, those people who've been fighting this fight for longer than some of these other people have been in the community or know anything about it are going to speak up. And they're really good at it. And you know they're really good at it because all they have to do is say, wow, there's not a lot of diversity there. And people lose their shit because they know they're being rightly called out. And they know that they're probably not going to do anything about it. And so instead of acknowledging the problem, they just get defensive. And now they've got people getting defensive on their behalf who should be saying, no, we're not saying you did something wrong. We're saying there's room for improvement here. And it's embarrassing that in 2025, we're still explaining there's room for improvement, which we've been doing for 20 fucking plus years. And there have been people, by the way, that's just how long I've been doing this. There have been people who've been doing it for hundreds of years in different contexts.
Right.
But yeah, I thank you so much, Misha. But I've decided just today that I can be an ally to queer folks, trans folks, or people of color, but not all three. So, I mean, that's just a bridge too far. I'm just, I don't know. I don't know what made you think I could take on 3 different minority classifications and still be decent about them, but I'll try hard.
Who do we toss, Matt? Who do we toss?
Let's toss the queers people. Let's toss the queer people. They're fine. They still got gay marriage. The Supreme Court decided not to mess with that the other day. They're least harmed. I'm sorry, all my queer friends. We're throwing you under the bus because that's what Democrats do. My best friend is a gay man.
I can't. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't go there.
It's so funny to watch, and recently I got a brief, it wasn't even really an argument. I talked about it before. Somebody in my EverQuest guild was celebrating a right-wing album that was coming out. And I was letting him know that, hey, I don't truck with that. I'm going to put you on mute. It's fine. We can keep playing. But if you don't get answers, that's why. And he threw a little fit and was like, I don't do well with Democrats. And I was like, evidently not. And I'm not even a Democrat. So
all right.
Who do you do well with?
Oh, those Democrats, they're way too right wing.
$10 from Dante Verona. Hey. Is it what?
I know. I didn't know if that was me or you. Go ahead. I forget. I'm on that chemo drug, so my memory short term is just shit. So I can't remember what's what.
I'm just stupid, so my memory goes all the time. I had a weird. I had a weird. Arden can tell you. I've had 2 weird bouts of aphasia that I can recall. One of them, Jimmy and a bunch of other people over here.
I don't know what that is. What is aphasia?
A mental lapse where it's difficult to come up with names and words and things like that.
Oh, welcome to my world. Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of years ago, Jimmy and several other people were over here, and it was crazy hot out. And I basically got like some kind of heat stroke and was sitting on the couch, and they were all kind of worried because I was in a haze and could not remember people's names or how to say certain things. And then, was it yesterday morning or the day before? I did not sleep. I slept like a couple of hours, and so I was completely exhausted. And I had an energy drink to try and wake me up. And it turns out with my health risks and my heart and all that stuff, trying to pound a fuck ton of caffeine at the crack of dawn after getting a couple hours sleep shuts my brain off. And I was sitting there. Literally, I kid you not, this is as somebody who speaks and reads for a living. If we haven't done Dante's super chat yet, here's how. So the first sentence is Trump, groceries. I'm going to try to read the next sentence as I had to read it the other day. I don't know. My eyes are fuzzy. They're not that fuzzy. I can make out the word. I can see the letters. I can't come up with. It's an old-fashioned. I won't keep going, but that's. Wasn't it like that, Arden?
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, no, you were trying to read stuff on the screen and you were like freaking out a little because you couldn't quite process what you were looking at.
But I took a breath. And after a few minutes, it kind of went away. I think I was probably still somewhat asleep and just different parts of my brain hadn't clicked on. But anyway, groceries. I used it on the campaign. It's an old fashioned term, but a beautiful term. Groceries. It's a bag with different things in it. Trump is abnormally unintelligent. Good work, MAGA. Yeah. Now he's discovered this other new word, affordability. I got this new word. It's affordability. Yeah. I heard Mom Donnie say it.
Yes. I just have to share with you. I started taking a chemo drug 11 years ago for a blood condition that I have. And I was almost 50 at the time, so I was 49. And after I started taking that, I noticed that my memory was going, but I thought, oh wow, is that what happens when you're 50? Because I turned 50 like shortly after I started taking it, and I was like, oh my god, 50 it just kills you. It's horrible. And I was thinking that, geez, what's going to happen now? 50, 50, 50, and it's in my head, 50, 50, 50. My memory's going. My memory's going. And then maybe a few years ago, I'm driving home one night and I'm listening to BBC, and they're talking about this report about how chemo it really screws with your memory. So next time in to see my chemo doc, as I call him, I say to him, you know, what's the deal? I was listening to this BBC report the other night and said chemo really messes with your memory. How come you didn't tell me? And he says, without skipping a beat, he says, oh, I told you, you just don't remember. And which sounds like a joke, and it is a good joke. But he said, he was straight faced. He said, no, I'm serious. I laughed. And he said, no, I'm serious. I'm certain I told you, and I'm certain you don't remember. I'm like, oh, great. So this is my life now. I just don't remember things. And my memory, if Apple hadn't created or someone hadn't created a phone with reminders where you could be reminded of shit all the time, I would be in so much trouble right now. All my friends would hate me. I would never remember anyone's birthday anymore or anything like that. It really does mess you up. If you don't have to take chemo, I would say don't do it. I'm recommending against it. Although, you know, when people are here with me and it's time to take my chemo, I do offer it to people as a, you know, polite gesture, but no one's taken it yet so far.
Well, So my health insurance premiums are getting ready to go up by an additional $500 a month, and so now it's going to be, can I afford to pay for health care and also paying for the counseling? We'll find out. But if I completely run out of health care and life gets really bad, I might just come over and take you up on some free chemo samples.
There we go. Or just come to California, because we, as far as I know, we still do have, I'm still on the covered California plan, and it's pretty spectacular in terms of what you get for what you pay.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go over and see the Veterans Administration and find out what I do and don't qualify for. Otherwise, in addition to these shows, you'll be seeing me as a greeter at Walmart soon.
Oh, that would be fun, actually. $4.99 from Kayla Albertson. The Epstein file discharge petition just passed. Oh, wow. While we were on, the White House has called an emotional meeting. What is an emotional meeting?
The petition was signed right after they swore her in. The petition was signed right after they swore her in, but they haven't done the vote thing yet. That's just the petition to force the vote, and it's going to take a little time for them to get to that.
Okay.
Unless it happened just now and I missed it. I mean, Kayla just posted that 20 minutes ago, so maybe there's news. But I really doubt that you're going to see the vote for weeks.
I did get it I did get this one after Matt pronounced it later, after I botched it. Sapphic hazard.
Ah, yes. Well, see, so we've been forgetting to say F you, Jimmy, on all these. We should also mispronounce everybody's name. If we mispronounce Jimmy and add an F you, we say F you, Jimmy, and mispronounce everybody's name, they will all send another $5 to tell us how to pronounce their names correctly. And people online pick such wild names. It's easy. Like, for example, I sorted out Sapphic hazard, but we got an extra $5 out of it. So this one here is from, wait, what's this? $5 from Alias Hannah's
Sile Verbau.
I guess.
I'm going to pronounce it like that.
Something like that. Unique New York
is the most uniquest New York. Jessica Doodoo, the most unique McButtface, is responsible for inspiring the super chat. Oh,
and all I have to say to that is F you, Jimmy.
Yeah, F you, Jimmy.
Here's five some sort of currency I've never heard of or seen. I guess who knows what that is. It's probably not worth anything, but it's from at jpsych 87.
K. Yeah, Jai say K.
It's jpsych, the most unique dude to make butt face to you, Matt.
F you, Jimmy.
Yes, F you, Jimmy.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodgins. Oh, I need to. Hannah Hodgins. Mr.
Yes,
Deity and
it's
Matt.
pronounced like GIF.
Eminem. Yeah, Eminem, amazing. Made my night. Well, you've just made my fortnight, Hannah. That was very sweet. Thank you.
And my M&Ms are plain because I don't like to chew the peanut ones anymore.
I eat the peanut ones so that this is something I literally do. My dentist told me 30 some years ago, eat something every day that makes you feel the need to floss. And my thing is either nuts or peanut M&Ms. So I make sure I eat one of those every day.
Well, I don't have my real teeth anymore, so if I want to floss, I can take them out and do them by hand.
Well, there we go. Work. That's awesome. That'll do it too.
It was so funny. I posted a video the other day, and somebody was like, "Is Matt missing some teeth?" And I was like, "Yeah, almost all of them at this point. I'm saving up to eventually get the implants, but I mean, I had a really good friend do me a huge, wonderful favor, and not just a random friend, an actual orthopedic surgeon who yanked out my teeth and gave me an upper denture and a lower denture on 4 things. So, but they're not always, they're getting better. But there are many days where I don't even bother putting the top in, just because it's like, if I'm just going to sit around and eat soft food and play video games and not be on camera, it's like, why? Because I spent so many years, when I smile, like when other people smile, you can see their upper teeth. You can't really. I have to lean back. I spent so many years making sure my lip hid, a broken off tooth that I can't. So I have teeth that I can't show off now. It's really annoying.
Oh my gosh. My dad at 50, they told him he was going to have a couple of teeth pulled. They told him, your teeth are great, but your gums are going to have to go. And so he just said, take them all. He had all of his teeth removed at 50. And that's how I remember him. We would have to, if we went to church, half the time we were turning around, like by the end of the block. Oh, damn it, I forgot to put my teeth in. And then at a certain point, I don't think, like after 70, I don't think I ever saw him again with his teeth in. And that man could eat steak. He had developed his tongue and upper palate to the point where he could destroy anything like it was a vice. He would just put it in there and eat anything. He was amazing. No,
I will not do that. But I have gotten really good at taking a knife and fork and cutting everything into swallowable.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Genius. Absolutely.
Generally, though, I've got some more improvements to make, some more changes to make, but I'm at least much happier. And finally, like it's in part because I inherited some bad teeth, but also because of my diabetes. Yeah. I broke like 4 or 5 teeth in the span of a year. I mean, that's insane. Just boom, here's half a tooth breaking off. No previous indication. And part of it is because I have diabetic neuropathy. So in much the same way that I can't feel anything from the outer edge into about the middle of my second finger right now, and some other things on extremities, there are nerve endings in my body that are just dead. So like eventually I'll be like the person that doesn't feel any pain. I'll be impervious and no pain receptors.
Hopefully none of the important ones though.
Yeah. I mean,
I had 12 teeth pulled by the time I was 19. I had 4 baby molars that wouldn't come out, and they pulled them. And then I had four molars pulled because my mouth wasn't big enough. No one would ever believe that my mouth wasn't big enough, but my mouth was not big enough. And then when I was going to go on a Mormon mission, they make you kind of take care of everything that could possibly go wrong. So I had my 4 wisdom teeth pulled, and with that, my father and then 5 years of orthodontia made me obsessed with my teeth. So I have been so obsessed. You would not believe the routines that I go through every day with my teeth to try to keep my teeth, and it's just ridiculous. I'm a silly human being, but my teeth are good. Every time I go in, I only go into the dentist like every 10 years. That's not a joke. And every time I go in, they go, "Oh my God, your gums are amazing." And I've actually had on 3 occasions the person who's looking at my teeth pull in other people to come look at my gums because they're so beautiful. So I'm doing something right, but it's an obsessive thing, and it's an obsessive thing, and I feel slightly embarrassed.
That's a good brag. My brother got braces when he was a kid, and my teeth weren't messed up enough to actually get them, but they were just messed up enough that I would still be self-conscious about them a little bit. They were never terrible, but it was like, and he has dentists and orthodontists when he goes up to them, and they'll be like, "Ooh, can I look? Who did your mouth? They did an amazing job." You know, he got this perfect fucking mouth, but it's also obvious to people who know that this was a corrected mouth, and you got to, and it's like, yeah, so of course you can check out my chopos. $5 from Kayla Albertson. Minnesota, $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, pandemic-related, more recent charges related to Medicaid and housing stabilization fraud. So I did look that up just now. So the Feeding Our Future fraud was a massive scheme in Minnesota where a nonprofit organization, also named Feeding Our Future, stole hundreds of millions of dollars by falsely claiming to provide meals to children during the COVID-19 pandemic. The founder, Amy Bach, and others were indicted for their involvement. As of late 2025, most suspects have pled guilty, with Bach and several others being convicted at trial.
What is wrong with people? I don't even understand how you get to that point in your life where you want to do that.
When you talk about loss of values, the values, I'm not as worried about respect. Like, I don't care if you personally respect me. You can personally think whatever you want. What I care about is respect for the Constitution, respect for the rights, respect for the individual liberties of other people. I can completely despise your religion and talk shit about it all the time and still respect your right to hold that view. My lines are getting firmer and clearer in a number of different areas, because Ryan and I can remember back to where, whether you were Republican or Democrat, there was still the possibility that we might be able to come to some reasonable compromise, and that we all, even if we disagreed about what a better America looked like, the differences between our better Americas weren't like the difference between antebellum slavery and chaos.
Yes.
It wasn't like that. And now, like, people are like, "Oh, do you have to cut off the MAGA people in your life?" No, I don't have to, but I'm really fucking enjoying it, because while I spent everything from 2015 through 2022 or 23 trying to get them to see the error of their ways, they went and elected this motherfucker back in here, and now they are without excuse. You are either intentionally complicit and awful, or so stupid and clueless that you no longer deserve to be around me. I need to make sure that my life isn't miserable, and you people are making my life miserable, even when I'm not aware you're doing it. You're off there doing the things that destroy my life, my business, my partner's life. It is. Can somebody give me a reason why I should play nice? Like, somebody recently commented after Mamdani's acceptance speech about how they thought he went a little too hard and was a little too disrespectful. And I'm like, how much ground do we have to cede before the to the fascists before it's okay to call them out without somebody saying, "Ooh, did you have to go that hard?" I'm sorry. They're killing people and taking away rights. They're deporting people. They're violating due process. They are ending the Constitution. They are trying to claim elections are rigged when they're not, and essentially rig elections so that we have to try to rig it back with all this fucking gerrymandering going on left and right. It's bizarre. No, I don't have to play nice to the people who are punching me and my friends.
Right. We're not turn the other cheekers.
Yeah. I'll turn two cheeks at them.
Yeah. I'm with you. $5 from how can I mispronounce it? SJL. F you, Jimmy. Define a job as impossible to leave without the employer's effectively slavery.
Yep.
Yeah. And the one statistic I wanted to mention to what's his name, I can't remember who we were talking to about it, but if I remember correctly, there are more people now in America working multiple jobs than ever in U.S. history.
Yeah,
these are the people who don't want to work.
There are more government employees who are working multiple jobs right now during the shutdown.
Right.
I get it too. I mean, these are tired old talking points. Nobody wants to work anymore. You know how long they've been saying that? As long as there are newspapers for us to go back and read it.
Yes.
My great grandmother would say this, and it was in newspapers.
Sure.
And you know what?
Sure.
It's true. You know why it's true? Because it's always been true. There are people who have jobs that they genuinely enjoy. I love my job. Even on the worst days, I love this.
Right.
There are other people who don't love their job, but it's a practical necessity. And what you say is, because you're a competent, responsible adult, is, you know what? I hate my actual job, but until I can find a better job that pays the bills, I like being able to pay the bills more. There was a meme that I saw today, which I know if Alex were real, and Alex is not real. If Alex were real, this is the kind of meme that Alex would like. And it was a guy laying concrete, and it just said, "I'd rather tell my kids, no, I'm sorry, daddy has to go to work, than tell them, no, we can't afford that." And I'm like, I grew up in a family where that would have been, yes, that's the way it's, you do the things, you work. My dad worked his ass off. Let me tell you, the time would have been better spent with your kids, because the time spent with your kids is more valuable than the money you're trying to earn to spend on them. Doing something cooperative. I could have more fun with my dad with a cardboard box in the backyard. I don't need the expensive thing. It'd be more fun than, teach them. Yes, unfortunately, I have to go to work. We're all going to have to go to work. But here's what I'm doing and why. And here's the reason. And while we may not be able to afford that, me going to work isn't going to make it worth affording. Let's find the things that we value together and how we can do this together. Boom, boom, boom. And it's like, you can look at that two different ways. As, yes, you should work to support your family, but you shouldn't work yourself to death. I mean, Harry Chapin did this, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll be together then. Yeah. That's the cradle. That's I couldn't remember it. See? The guy with cancer brain remembers the thing I can't remember. How's that happen?
Well, I only remember the things,
or chemo brain,
like the songs from the 70s that I grew up with. So that just went right into me. That's all I got left.
Is it blissful as the world collapses around us for you and I just to be sitting there like, this is from Billy's top 70 hits of the 70s. This is Steelers Wheels with Stuck in the Middle with You.
Yes.
But we don't have to cut anybody's ear off.
Yeah.
Oh, F you, Jimmy. 1999 from J Soul. Hey guys, for more info on it, just look up Minnesota House of Rep. Yeah, we just did that. Medicare fraud statement, and more information will show you on your feed. Understandably, you guys haven't seen it. It's mostly just Minnesota would say more, but I'm broke. Well, let me say that we were taking everything over $5. So you could have said 4 things for what you just did for that. So, but yeah, we looked it up and found
But
it.
we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Jay Soul. That was a good use of your money.
Just for that, I'll say F you, Jimmy, F you, Jimmy, F you, Jimmy on yours, and not
Jimmy.
mispronounce your name intentionally.
Yes. $4.99. I don't know how I could possibly mispronounce this. $4.99 from Fat Jesus. I just love saying Fat Jesus. I'm going to say that. F you, Jimmy. Fat Jesus. F you, Fat Jesus.
We love you, FU stands for.
We love you, Fat Jesus. When do us $5 patron members get the other online LineCon videos? Also, I've vaguely been following the Facebook fight. It's a sad situation. Yeah. I'm glad I don't pay attention to any social media.
We don't have a hard timeline. And I'm not on that end of things as much. I think we're aiming for like a week at most, but you're definitely going to get it long before it ever comes to YouTube. But I don't have like a, this is when it'll happen kind of timeline for you.
That's as close to the best answer as you're likely to get. And F you, Jimmy.
F you, Jimmy.
$5 from Chiara. Hi. Mispronounce my name, please. Already did. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I got it
Kyra.
right.
I believe it's
You'll have
Kyra.
to let me know. Kyra?
Kyra?
Wouldn't that have an H in it? I thought it was
Kyra.
Italian.
Kyra. How badly can we mispronounce a name?
It's a pasta bolognese alla Chiara.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, bolognese. Oh, now I want some penne bolognese. Oh, yes. $5 from alias Hanasai La Verbau.
I think you nailed it.
It's pronounced alias Hannah Banana. Shoshana. Okay, I can't do that. I never
Banana,
could do that
Shoshana,
song.
banana, fana, banana.
Oh my God. Shiver Bowl. Okay.
Banana, banana, fana,
Your technique is paying off, clearly. That was genius. Yeah, I got to start mispronouncing. Oh, I mispronounce people's names all the time on my show as intentional. I just called Tim Barnett. I called his channel the Red Beard Logic instead of Red Pen Logic. That's one of my favorites for a while.
I think next time I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna let people send in. Don't do it today because we're gonna wrap up because Arden and I gotta go. But we've got like 4 or 5 super chats left. But I think what I'm gonna do on another night is for funsies. I will make every attempt to read your super chats and your name backwards. And so what I would do here we go. You can do it 2 ways. You could go username, I mispronounce Eminem, have to excuse, and just worse, the our problems teeth, Misha from 5A. Or you could do it the hard way, which would be Emanrasu im en konoramism minem eva ot esukia and na suj throw et ara smellbrop heth hate ha hishm. I got that wrong, but it was a good try.
Now you just sound like you're some person from Lord of the Rings. I'm just glad I'm not here for that because I would not want to have to do either of those.
I won't make anybody else do what I volunteer to do.
With my minor dyslexia, I can't. I can barely read them the right way. $4.99. That's a good figure from WBIB. Robert Walt Hare. Robert. Some of this stuff I just don't get. Thank you to all ACA The Line hosts. 17 years of entertainment helped me through 17 years surviving brain cancer. Oh, wow.
Nice.
And F you, Jimmy. Yeah. Man, that's amazing.
Definite F you, Jimmy.
XD. Yeah. What is the Burt Wall Hare? Robert Walher, do you know? I don't know what that
I
is.
have no idea.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But backwards, it's Rayclaw Trubwo. Oh, no, not Rohor.
You've been doing this for 20 years, right? Is it 20 or 21?
Not the backwards thing, but yeah.
No, I know that. When did you start your public access show? Is it 2005?
Yeah, they started it years before I was actually there, but YouTube didn't exist and we hadn't gone on the internet yet. And so I started, I called into the show in December of 04, I think, or possibly December of 05. And then I honestly don't remember, but there's a record of it.
I'm technically working on my 20th year now, as the first Mr. Deity was shot in October of 2006.
Yeah.
So I've passed the 19-year mark.
So very early when I was doing the other show, we played The God Who Wasn't There. We got permission to play the entire thing as an episode. Nice. And even though, not everybody was a mythicist and not everything about that film is accurate, it was groundbreaking, much the same way that, Bill Maher is evidently an idiot and sucking up to MAGA now. Religious was significant for a period of time. Yeah. But even before, Brian and I met at the Rapture Ram in Oakland. I think we had run into each other maybe once before then, but I've been watching all the Mr. Deity thing because I remember there was an email where we had talked about getting me over for an episode at some point, but it just never worked out.
Yeah. Oh, that would still be great to do. I got to try to work on that. I'm trying to work on one I'd love to get Arden in one, because Arden's just such a presence on camera. I mean, that man is just a wall. He's a wall with hair, and and I think it was just. I wanted to kind of cast him against type, and I've never been able to figure out exactly who to cast him as. But I think it would be fun to cast him completely against type. Like you would think I would make him Zeus, or one of the Nordic gods, or something like that, or maybe even I don't know, Quetzalcoatl or something. But I think it'd be fun to just go completely against type.
You're going to have to film it like Lord of the Rings Force perspective and make him a hobbit. There's a really good picture of
That's funny.
There's a really good picture of me and Arden actually at Hobbiton. We went to New Zealand. We went to Hobbiton, and there's a picture on my Facebook page of me standing inside of the Hobbit house with Arden standing outside. So it's almost like a Gandalf Hobbit thing, only not quite that size difference.
Wow.
But yeah, it'd be fun.
Wow.
$5 from Melatonale. I'm not going to screw up Allie's name, but it's no, I did it right because we adore her. It's almost a guarantee that a host who hasn't seen my username before will mispronounce it. No extra effort required. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. #take my monad. That is so good.
F you, Jimmy.
F you, Jimmy.
By the way, since you like Justin so much, I'm in the Deconstruction Zone. I'm working on a Mr. Deity episode called Mr. Deity and the Me Construction Zone, where I basically parodied Justin's show, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to take a little work. That sounds fun. Yeah.
That sounds very fun. Your turn.
$9.99 from Outwitted by Fish. Oh, that's my life story right there. Loss of values. As Cicero said, "O tempore, o mores, O Jimmy, I et te ipsum defute, as long as we can all agree with # go fuck yourself, Jimmy, we're probably okay." I did a poor reading of the Latin, but my Latin's terrible since I haven't been to a mass for so long. My
Latin's terrible as well. Always has been.
I was chatting one time with a good friend of mine. He really quick-witted guy, and we were talking about religion, and I said to him, he said to me, so he mentioned, religion is the opiate of the masses, and I said, how are the masses, by the way? And he said, oh, I preferred them in Latin, which I thought was just a great joke. Space Barbarian. I love that name. God,
this is your favorite Space Barbarian. Is this Space Barbarian or Space Barbarian? Space Barbarian. Jimmy dressed as Fat Jesus on a Halloween show.
Oh, did he really?
If I get out of Texas, I'll roll a Fat Jesus.
Yeah, well, I have a Fat Jesus every night.
There you go. And possibly the final super chat. F you, Jimmy. $5 from
WD
Robert Walter forgot my channel name was changed to Woodib on this platform. Woodib. What are you doing? Woodib. Hey. Woodib. So first of all, always great to hang out with you. We need to do it again more often and soon, and come down and visit your grandkid. But also me, I'll put on a diaper and drink a bottle while you're here.
No, what you have to do to pretend to be my grandson is you have to have more energy than 1,000 suns. That's really all you have to do. Yeah. Then
I will fail you miserably.
Yes, you will. Yes. No.
I don't even have. Yeah. I don't even have the energy of God's son after they hung him up.
Oh, that's my life too. We are walking the same path together. We're on the road to Emmaus. If you don't recognize me, it's me.
On that note, first of all, huge thank you to everybody for another Wednesday night. Thank you to Stephanie for screening and Arden for producing, and all of our moderators and people digging in on a number of things. Thanks to the 2 or 3 people who called in, including the one that was just, cartoonishly confused and not accurate. For those who don't know, I'm going to try to do a better job of explaining what it is I'm picking up on, but I'm also going to I'm working on doing a better job of asking them the questions that expose it. And one of the reasons for that is that if you're an atheist and you go after a Protestant for Catholic doctrine, you look really foolish and they get to ignore you and dismiss you. If you're like, you think the cracker actually turns into the body of Jesus, and they're like, no, actually, that's what some Catholics believe. I'm a Protestant. I don't think it literally turns into that. And now I know I don't have to pay attention. That's the level of things when you hear MAGA and God will save us from the abominations of a lack of respect.
Right.
Stuff just doesn't quite go together. It's like early levels of ChatGPT where it would just pick out and make predictions. It was like, and last night, you won't believe the Trump administration, Buffalo, 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 that type of thing, where it's just like, that makes more sense than what you were going to say. In the meantime, I will say that, yes, it's a little more difficult getting theist callers to call in, especially if I'm making an effort to be even nicer. And I appreciate everybody for paying attention and watching, because I think that might actually be a good thing, because it means hopefully less time wasted on prank callers and people who aren't serious. And maybe someday we'll get someone who's like, oh, okay, here's what you missed. Or, I believe for this reason. I don't think that reason's good enough. Can we discuss how viable that reason is? And would you accept that reasoning for something else, so that we can, is cherry picking a problem? Is special pleading a problem? Why don't you accept the 1,000 other gods that have similar things? What's the key difference? It would be nice if we would get back to calls like that, instead of people either trying to get a clip for their channel, thinking that they're acting as a parody of a MAGA account or a parody of a Christian account. I don't need the help. I just want to have a good conversation. And you know what? Over the last 20 years, we've had lots and lots of them. We've had some in the last week. So I know it's not impossible, and, no reason to quit.
Right.
In the meantime, please, everybody, take care of yourselves. You can go to linemerch.com to find stuff and ways to support us there. You can also go to patreon.com/calltheline. And becoming a patron is one of the ways that you can go to LineCon Online, which is happening, including this Saturday. And we've got our speakers coming up this week. You can find out more about that at patreon.com/calltheline. If nothing else, register to vote, get the word out, let people know it is not time to give up. And that includes the 8 fucking Democrats that just gave up on the rest of the world. Hold them accountable. See you next time.